Wait, what's going on? Hold on. God damn it, man. God damn it. God damn it. Israel just struck Iran.
Oh, Jesus
I know we shouldn't have interrupted like the story about Fetterman, but like.
Jesus Christ. Who's reporting this?
Man, what a liability that country is to the United States of America. Total liability, not an ally. Disgusting. Just as the United States was going to enter another round of diplomatic talks with Iran this weekend. Disgusting. This is, look, I don't have an article in front of me. This is Ken Klippenstein, who I obviously trust, posting on X.
Israel attacked Iran on Friday morning.
Here we
go. I guess
it's
Friday over there.
Breaking news. All right. Guys, obviously this just broke. Please forgive me if anything changes from what I'm about to share with you. Obviously, this is a developing story. So according to CNN, Israel has launched what it called preemptive strikes, much like the United States doing preemptive strikes on Iraq, against Iran in this case. And a state of emergency has been declared in Israel. I hope the Israeli civilians enjoy the fear that they're now living in because of their belligerent government carrying out strikes in Iran. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And this is according to the country's defense minister, Israel Katz, well-known genocider, someone who we should not be considered allies of, but alas, our country is beholden to the great government of Israel. Following, this is his statement, following the state of Israel's preemptive strike against Iran, a missile and drone attack against the state of Israel and its civilian population is expected in the immediate future. Then why did you guys do it? Iranian state media outlet IRNA reported repeated explosions could be heard in Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, of course. Let's go to a live shot of Waz with his adorable cat. Just so I don't lose my mind.
Sorry, guys. I'm reading the New York Times in real time here.
I think Trump knew they were going to do it today. I would be shocked if there isn't any coordination with the United States. We don't know for sure yet, obviously developing story, but I would be shocked. So congratulations, America. We have now entered another Middle Eastern war on behalf of Israel. Congratulations. So pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. How many trillions of dollars is this gonna suck out of our resources? How many innocent people are gonna die by escalating a ridiculous war, another ridiculous war in the Middle East? I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else there is left to say.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Craig Pasta Jardula. Episode 113, No Imperialist Day, with special guest DON DeBAR and an all-new top censored news of the week. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Here we go. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Let's do it. This is I guess we'll call it a special episode of The Homeless Left. Yesterday, we had an issue with StreamYard. We're looking into that still. What happened? Everybody got turned off at the same time. So here we are. The next day, we usually do our shows on Thursdays. Maybe this was, silver lining is that we have this breaking news. We're going to get to this momentarily from last night. Today being Friday the 13th, and we don't, like I said, we don't do shows on Friday generally at all. But so much going on just in the last 24 hours or less. Not to mention, we've been covering the protests and the Psyops and counting down to tomorrow's big, what do they call it? The No King Day national rally. So we already had that on the calendar. We already knew there was the escalation by Israel, the escalation into what we are now looking at might be the beginning of, we've been calling it the whole time, the lead up to World War III. And this might have been the most significant moment yet, which happened last night. We're going to get to that in a moment, but we are still bringing you the show from yesterday we had planned, because everything is important and it's all connected, man. It's all connected, man. All of it, the surveillance state, the pitting everybody against each other, and the fake two-party system, the Israel first policy for both parties, and how we can manufacture consent for war after war after war, again, by creating false flags, creating Psyop situations where people's movements get captured and turned against them. We see it over and over and over. This is why we do this show. But more than that, we do this show because the mainstream media and people that call themselves journalists and get paid the big bucks by their corporate advertisers, by Big Pharma, by military industrial complex, by all of those entities that allow them to live the luxurious lifestyles and then pretend that they're journalists when they're really propagandists, and they protect people in power. And that's the main reason we do this show, The Homeless Left, a non-tribal approach to news, a non-tribal approach to life, how we function day to day, how we function in our relationships. We're not doing therapy sessions for you guys, but we're giving you guys the tools so you can make it through the day and maneuver through all the BS that gets thrown at you every time someone tells you, stay home, put on a mask, don't talk to that person anymore, he's got the wrong sign in his front yard, or just people that are waiting for CNN or Fox or MSNBC to tell them what to think when something big happens. I don't know what to think yet. I don't know what to feel yet. Tell me what my feelings and thoughts are, and I'll be happy to then pretend that I came up with them myself. And then I'll do the thing that you're telling me to do, which is yell at the wrong people, be mad at the wrong people, be afraid of the wrong things, and stay in line and wait for my next instruction. Well, we are here to help you fight back against that. That's what the Homeless Left is about. And we're happy for all you guys have been part of what we've been doing the last 2 years, primarily on Rumble, which has not pulled the plug on us, which is awesome. Still some shadow banning going on, so we appreciate you guys doing the likes and the shares. And we put out our segments. You guys can share those out as well. Anybody that's maybe on the fence about some of the stuff we talk about and they just need that little tip might just be the one topic, the one thing that gets them to go, that's weird. And you can help, you can do your part, share out whatever segment that strikes you a certain way. So that's what we try to cover as much as we can. We're on twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays generally. But of course, if something breaks, we try and come in and as quick as we can to get you guys the take that is the most consistent with the principles I just previously stated. The consistent principles of go at something in a non-tribal way. We don't always have all the information right away. In fact, we never have all the information right away. It's impossible to have all the information right away. So it's a process. It's a process to obtain information and figure out the best way to respond to that and have an honest discussion, honest discourse sometimes. Sometimes we disagree. And then we change our minds. We can change our minds if someone brings up a new point, something we didn't think of, or new development, new information is available, and we can then apply that new information and then go accordingly from there. So I think we are in line, guys. I think we're in line with what we need to do, where we're at right now. And again, it's a silver lining that our show did not work out yesterday for whatever reason, whatever the issue with StreamYard or any of that. And we have our worries as far as something more nefarious there and into the future. What does it mean that we're totally dependent on these type of mediums, these type of platforms to have these conversations, to be able to do this at all? And anyone at any time could just pull the plug. We talk about Palantir. We'll get into more Palantir. You guys know the Palantir story. We'll get more into that. But it is, like I said, it's all connected, man. It's all connected. Let's go ahead because we have to get to the breaking news that happened, since the show we were going to do yesterday wasn't going to happen, or we thought it was going to happen. It didn't. Here we are. We got to cover the Israel-Iran situation. It's going in real time right now. So why don't we go ahead? I think our co-host is here. We might be ready to bring him in, and we're going to go ahead and do the breaking news. But let's go ahead and bring back to the show. You know him, you love him, our friend, Craig, Pasta, Jardula. Boom.
What's up, Matt? Yes, I think it's awesome. It's a privilege to keep doing this with you, man. It really is. As stressful as this can be, and I really commend you for digging in and getting on the streets and getting some footage out there too, as well. I mean, people get to watch real news today, real citizen journalism, right? Nobody's got to give you the nod. You just go and do it because you feel the need to do it, and to have people watch it, it's awesome. I'm going to stream this with my audience right now on Twitter as well. Hanging with Matt Weinglass. But by the way, just so you know, I just came across the wire, Matt, that from now on, your segment, World War III Watch, is going to have to be turned into World War III Update. Things got really, really hairy. So I'm very interested to see Don's take on it today. I've been listening to a lot of people, hearing what's going on out there. It's just crazy, but it looks like World War III in a way. I mean, this is getting nuts at this point, and it's very intriguing and interesting. So a lot of things to say, a lot of things to talk about. You go ahead and drive the bus, brother. I'll take the ride along with you.
Okay, well, let's catch people up who maybe they turned their head briefly for a few hours and they missed everything that happened over the last 12 hours. I suppose we could, whatever the timeline is, but it is going very fast. So let's go ahead and start with the breaking news. We'll catch everybody up here. Here we go. We have some breaking news from last night. I'm here with co-host Craig Pasta Jardula, and it looks like in the middle of the night into the morning hours, Friday the 13th, breaking news, Israel strikes Iran. The U.S. government and Western media are looking to manufacture public consent for World War III. All this happening in real time. We know the playbook. We know the playbook of the media. We know the playbook of the government and the 6D chess. We'll get into some of that. People still hoping that Trump's trying to figure a way through this or has some master plan. But guess what?
Throw that disclaimer out quickly there, Matt Weinglass. Yeah, get that out there first, buddy.
I got to put it out there. But hey, let's just understand the system we're in. And the more we learn more and more, the curtain keeps getting pulled back further and further. Don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It doesn't matter who's in office. They have absolutely nothing they can do about this because we have no power. We're completely controlled by Israel. We've been that way.
Think things would have been better with Kamala, Matt? Come on, please.
Well, she would have offered us all. She would have offered us all a drink, and we could have done a shot before we entered into officially World War III. But let's look at the first thing we saw breaking out. And again, this is when we were trying to figure out how to even do our show, and then we saw this happen. This is the breaking story of what Israel just basically decided to do, seemingly on their own. But we know it wasn't on their own. It's okay. Here we go. Here we go. Breaking. Here's the first strike that happened to the capital of Iran, Tehran, last night. And of course, we had some images come in right away, and they're saying the first death. And this is just horrible, but it fits the narrative beautifully of everything. And I say beautifully in a very, very sick and twisted way. Look at the first image, the first thing we get. There you go. Residential buildings being blown up. Of course, we had a kid that was killed right away. I wasn't able to capture that screen grab, but the kid that was killed. These are all innocent people, and of course, we know the game plan from the West is that if anybody in Iran, anybody in Lebanon, anybody in Palestine, anybody in Yemen, it doesn't matter if they get killed and they're innocent civilians. They're not actually innocent civilians. They're actually terrorists, or they are being used as human shields by the terrorists. So that's why we couldn't help it. Or there's some other thing going on that we're going to find out later because the IDF is investigating why those citizens got killed. But again, it's the same story every time. And then this is the more important part. The mainstream putting this garbage out. Somebody had to correct it, but this is real. Before that was put out, it says Israel launches preemptive strikes. That's the key word, preemptive strikes against Iran, which we know completely unprovoked. But they're setting the precedent of how we keep in the
Maddie, we got to kill them before they kill us.
We got it. Yes, and this is the Bush Cheney mantra from the early 2000s.
You're either with us, Matt, or you're with the terrorists.
Yeah. Exactly. And then look, Fee put this out. that, of course, right away, breaking, an Iranian jet took off, and report now that Iran has launched Fatah missiles against Israel. This was almost immediately after the retaliation of Israel's attack. Now, and this is key, Iran has the right to defend itself, right? Well, if you ask any Western media pundit, no, they actually don't, and they are the aggressors. Here is the firing back that was captured, and this is just a this is a, I mean, I don't want to say a flex on Iran, but this is just there's a lot bigger attacks to come. This was the initial one coming out almost immediately. And now notice in unison, our elected leaders, doesn't matter what side of the aisle, immediately put out this garbage. This is how you start the manufacturing of consent. These type of tweets.
Rick Scott, please join me in praying for Israel tonight and our U.S. personnel in the Middle East. Not like we should be there anyways. Rick Scott from Florida, but you're here. Yep. Scott Holly?
We got some more. Oh.
All right. You got Gary Palmer from, where's he from? Please join me in praying for Israel tonight. America will always stand with Israel. Oklahoma Attorney General Genter Drummond, please join me in praying for the safety and security of Israel and the protection of Americans and American troops throughout the regions. I mean, just think about this. Like, other than the biblical part, and I guess that's what mostly the draw is for people in Oklahoma. Why would they stand with Israel, thinking in the South? I guess it is the Christian Israel belief connect. I mean, this is like a religious war going on, partially. Yeah. I mean, that's the way a lot of people will perceive it, as they'll be looking into Iran for the first time ever, not understanding anything of its history, not knowing anything how it was overthrown. I'm talking about the majority of people in America as they are hearing this going on, right?
Yeah.
And wondering why the cat's out of the bag. Well, why are we on high alert? Oh, you didn't know? Please join me in praying for Israel. Join me in praying for Israel. You didn't know that we're bought and paid for by Israel?
Yeah. It's
the occupation, baby.
They're waiting for the text to come in to say, okay, put out that praying post needs to go out now, guys. Come on, do it in your own words so it doesn't look like a copy and paste. But we need to hear pray, and we need to hear Israel. Get it out there now. Not a joke. That's literally what happens. That's how you align it. That's how you get you manufacture this consensus. You get the same message out over and over and gets in people's heads. They do this with every issue, but primarily with war and with the war machine. Why haven't we learned our lesson yet? Yeah. Why haven't we learned our lesson yet? These two clowns is a nice word to call these two, but that's a little just idea of what
payasos.
Yeah. These are the worst of the worst, these two. And yes, of course, they're celebrating right now because this is what they've wanted for years. Now we have this problem. Of Trump. Now, look, we know, you guys that watch the shows, you watch our shows, you know that we're not sitting here hoping that Trump's got this secret plan. I'm going to tell you guys, anybody's still holding on hope for that, it doesn't effing matter if he's even got good intention. It's not going to happen. There is no plan because we have no choice. We are the ones, we are the aggressors along with Israel, lockstep. It's not going to change. It doesn't matter what tweet goes out or what comment goes out here, what other contradiction thing happens over there. Some people were saying immediately that Trump was trying to stay out of it and lie. So people are willing to admit he was lying when he said we didn't know anything about it. And they thought, well, that's a good lie. That means he's trying to be careful and walk, very carefully, tread lightly. But inevitably, this was going to happen. Here we go. This is on behalf of Trump. What's going out on Fox today?
See, I just spoke to President Trump. One thing, the president was aware of Israel's action before it happened. There were no surprises here. But he gave me a quote. He said, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. we're hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We'll see. There are several people in leadership in Iran that will not be coming back. Now, the president, I know, has spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu several times in recent days. As I mentioned before, the Trump administration reached out to a key Middle Eastern ally beforehand to acknowledge this strike was going to happen, but that the U.S. was not involved in the strike, but the goal still to get Iran back to the negotiating table. There was this building frustration about what Iran was doing at that negotiating table with Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy. He was scheduled again for Sunday. Looks like, obviously, that may change the dynamic there. Whether that moves forward at all depends on what Iran does in response. The president told me he's, looking to see what the retaliation may be. CENTCOM is on high alert. The U.S. will defend will help defend Israel if needed. And as I mentioned in the last time we talked, the Iron Dome has been replenished in Israel in recent weeks. So there's still this hope in the president's sense and the people around him that this changes the dynamic for Iran, and that this does not launch into what will be a back and forth. But we just saw the post from the Supreme Leader saying that this is the beginning of a major retaliation, and that Israel, in his words, has sealed its fate.
So, of course, there's retaliation. They're acting as if that's something that's only a crazy lunatic dictatorship would do anything like retaliate. That's insane that they didn't know that was going to happen, and now they're pretending that, oh my God, we didn't see that coming. Well, this is happening right now. I just got that. This is right out of Tel Aviv. Boom. Right. That's a half hour ago. Right now.
That's in Tel Aviv.
That's in Tel Aviv right now.
Play that again. That's so that's crazy. Where did they hit?
Where?
Yeah.
We have to look closer to see where
that looks like a lot of residential people.
That's a lot of residential there. This is the most congested part of Israel.
Can I say something really quickly? Let me point to a few things that we want to, point to. Obviously, he said, in that clip, he said that Iran can't have a nuclear bomb, which is code for go ahead, Israel, you can bomb them now. And he also said he knew about this one, right? The reason why he had to go put that out there because of the crazy blunder or quagmire or just how stupid we look with the Ukraine-Russia situation. Really, if you just want to look at it at face value, how terrible Donald Trump looks with that whole situation. Like there's no way the Russians feel they can do any type of deal with anybody. They hit one of the legs of the nuclear triad, for crying out loud. Nuclear deals in which Russia has a pact with America to keep their bombers out in the open so they can see, each side can see. And they're going to attack that leg, and then Donald Trump's going to act like he didn't know or he did know or whatever. But this time they had to put it out there for it to be known that he knows, right? He knew about this one here, that Israel was going to go ahead and attack Iran. And let me say to the person who's saying, some of those people were saying, Matt, that Donald Trump, is staying out of it and stuff like that. Let me tell you, in the best Sam Elliott impression I can do, son, he's not just staying in it. You're funding it. You're buying it. You're paying for it. So this presidency that now exists, the Donald Trump presidency, and allowing them to do that and saying, a president should be, don't you dare. You got your Gaza situation going. You got part of Syria. You got your Golan Heights now. I've given you everything you think. Don't you dare bomb Iran whatsoever. No, you're not doing it. But now, this just shows you this presidency, when people are still trying to say it's the lesser of two evils. No, it's not. I would rather deal with the woke fucking bullshit of the left and their awful, stupid things where they're trying to interject the state controlling your children. Because what do Americans do? Smart Americans do. I'm not playing. I'm pulling my kid out. That's it. At least they can defend themselves. This right here, he's dragged us into one of the worst situations. I mean, when people talk about World War III, and some of these other people want to go living under these bunkers. Matt, they're playing with fire right now. What's going on? This is crazy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bonkers, and it's really intriguing in some ways because this isn't the Iran that was overturned in 1953 when the CIA in their first coup operation, when they formed their boys club called the CIA, was to take out Mossadegh. They let it happen. They had the Shah there for many years. There was a revolution. But now Iran, they got guns. Yeah. Right, and I just in the small sense of they got guns over there, right? And it's this is crazy. Donald Trump presidency meant to be, handed off, disaster. The ruling class is playing you. There's no such thing as the lesser of two evils. They are taking us into a Malthusiast, techno-feudist, fucking techno-feudalist society. It's ridiculous, and y'all are walking right in and supporting it. But Donald Trump.
No, guys, you have your blinders on if you're like Trump taking on the deep state stuff. You're still on that. You've missed the full picture of 7 wars in 5 years. We are the most stubborn empire of all time, but I think that's the idea is empires are stubborn. They go out kicking and screaming. That's the way it works. This is our kicking and screaming, but we will not give up that 7th war. That is Iran. We've been waiting to do that. Netanyahu, we've been trying to get this last one done for years. It's the hardest one. And like you said, Craig, it's the one with the most power, the most to fight back with. But make no mistake, this was the last one on that list. Wesley Clark warned us about this. The 7 wars in 5 years. It didn't happen in 5 years, but here we are. And they're not going to rest till this one's done. And here we're in the middle of it right now. And this, as far as pretending that Iran wasn't going to retaliate, is nuts. This is I know some of this is tongue in cheek, but are these incoming? This from 1984. Are these incoming missile strikes or a map of Israel's pedophiles? I can never tell. So a little tongue in cheek in the middle of the chaos. I thought that was a fun one.
Actually, that's really fire there. That's good.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. 1984. The official 1984.
Yeah. So that's our breaking news. We'll obviously keep up on this story as we go. But with DON DeBAR coming in, we'll have a more inside take. So we'll get back to the story in a little bit. Before that happens, man, I think we should get into some of the censored news that maybe people skipped over this week. Do you want to do it right now? Do you want to take let's take a breath?
Do whatever you want to do. Let's take a little crack at something. Come on.
Let's take a crack at something. Okay. I'm going to set this up right now. Yeah, we did have.
It is the eve of June 14th. No King's Day, my brother.
It is.
Sponsored by Walmart. Remember, if you come on in on No King's Day, you get 20% off.
Oh, man. Okay,
it's
let me set this up.
Soros in the street. I mean, there's a lot of shit going on.
Oh, by the way, before we get into top censored here, I want to say, I don't know if you might have missed it, but I revealed to my audience that you actually won the bet about Greta
I didn't
Thunberg.
see that. Why would you do that without me?
Because I thought you noticed that when she came back and that clip of her interview saying we were treated so horribly. And I was thinking, the first thing I was thinking was, why are you not saying this is a scam? We were set up. And it was like she said everything perfectly that'll keep everybody in their camps and not change a single new mind. And I talked to Kit Cabello on his show about that as well. And I said, hey, he said it's about shining light on it. I go, give me one person that changed their mind after this stunt. Nobody. Everybody got more angry. So it didn't actually do anything. And by the way, the Gazans never got their aid anyways. So if you look at it that way,
get close and it was like all picked up. It was just like one of those things. It's like, like I said, they've done that before. The flotilla for real. So now this time it's easy. Now it's like, okay, now we just pick them up over here. And then we put her in the worst seat on the plane going back from Israel. Did you see that? They put her in the seat right by the bathroom door. And I mean, they let her take a commercial flight. If this is not a fucking stunt, Israel was not threatened, was not fearful of Greta's Greta Thornburn, whatever. Greta Psyop, Greta Narrative Management. They weren't fearful of her flotilla, Matt. So
yeah.
No,
it's true. It's true. Look, I know a lot of people got upset. In fact, I think a lot of Kit's audience got really upset with me. They were really upset.
Because here it is. It's all about the. It's all about the issue. It's all about the message. It's never about the person.
Yeah.
In fact, if a certain person clings onto it, you got to say, "Nah, get the fuck out of here." Somebody else.
Yeah.
Greta's that person. Greta should never ever be trusted again. She's not a leader. She's not nothing. She's not inspiral. She's an actress in the real world. Good for her.
Yeah. Okay, I think we got it. It's time to do some.
What did I win?
Yeah, let's do
I
some
won,
top
but what
10.
did I win? How much?
What did you win? I think you. Okay, so if we play back the tape, I think you said something like, I think you just said $5 or something. I didn't actually agree, but I will say that by me not saying no, that was me agreeing, because that was me accepting it by not.
We'll double or nothing on something. We'll find out, down in the in the future. So we'll be okay.
Or we could just change the $5 to a beer, and I got the next round when we get back together, man. I could do it that way, or whatever. Either way, the next bet or whatever, we'll figure it out.
The next red glass of red wine. I don't know, whatever.
But I will say this: you were right, but I still hold my ground on. There's a time that you have to say, let's see what happens, and I think that I still believe that I was in the right to be like, we don't know. Let's see how this ends, and then we'll see. So I'm still going to be that.
If Greta Thunberg was serious about the issues, you wouldn't hear her lead. You hear her being a part of something where she had built a relationship with other organizers who trust her that she's really trying to get something done. You know what I'm saying? When she's the poster child of something, immediately she's being exploited and she's just the actress. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying nobody doesn't have a chance. I don't know what type of level of controlled opposition she is, or how much she's bought, or whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's, we never know. And we want to see people do the best, but it's, what I'm saying? Usually when it's about them and their ego and they're the ones being highlighted, that's when we get in trouble. Now, it is the ruling class and the social engineers taking advantage of the fact that Americans, we want heroes.
Yeah.
Right. Even though Tina Turner told them, we don't need another hero. No. We do. We like our heroes. We like our leaders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then we have like little panic attacks when they don't do the thing that we want them to do. But we don't get mad at them. We get mad at anybody calling it out. And we go, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Right. So we've been there with the Bernie stuff. We've been there, and we see people dealing with that right now with Trump. But yeah, just guys, just lesson for life. Stop the hero worshiping. It'll do you much better when it's time to analyze something in an honest way. Just stop the hero worshiping. And we'll all be better off. Yeah.
Once again, now, if you're a populist right person, okay, that's it. Line. We need to lead the charge to make sure that there is no Palantir contract, that is withdrawn, and that data will not be collected and shared amongst other agencies. As patriots, go take to the streets and go do that. You know what I'm saying? That should be done. But they're not doing that. You have people like Laura Loomer literally going, oh, we need to take Palantir down to LA and fix the fucking immigrant problem. This neo-xenophobia out there. I mean, it's ridiculous to the nth degree. Laura Loomer, right, against the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, ushering in Palantir. People like Robert Barnes did it before. I mean, it's just bonkers. It's bonkers. It's everything you said you're against. And that's the thing. Biden couldn't get that done. Kamala Harris couldn't get that done.
Yeah.
The Republicans would have went crazy. And the independents out there would have backed them. And the libertarians would have been there. There's no way. Because they went to the constituents' houses and say, you're not going to let this happen. But under Donald Trump, come right in. Sad, crazy. People, wake up.
Yeah. All right. With that said, let's get into top censored news of the week. Here we go.
Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week.
It's Top Censored News of the Week, bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a dishonest or sloppy way. And it's always on purpose. I'm here with co-host today, Craig Pasta Jardula. We're breaking down the top 3 stories that the mainstream purposely or accidentally or sloppily, but on purposely missed. So we're going to get them to you guys right now. Coming in at number 3, Air India crash kills over 240 people on takeoff as several red flags emerge. You guys might have seen this story covered, but you didn't see the red flags that we saw. So let's look at those real quickly here. This crash happened, I believe, a day and a half ago in India. It was very, very tragic. This was the report first that came out. Here we go. Let me throw this one up. Here we go. Air India Dreamliner crashes into the college hostel, kills over 200. Well, they said 290. That number was then changed down to 240 something, I believe. But that was the initial take on it. And we have then we found the survivor that was reported. Only survivor of the plane is a British national from flight 171. He recalled after 30 seconds after takeoff, a loud noise followed and the plane crashed. It was a sudden event. When I woke up, I found bodies all around me. Here he is in the hospital. There's his ticket. It's pretty insane. This is like a movie playing out. If you guys remember that movie Hero, Dustin Hoffman, lone survivor of a plane crash. It's very surreal when this happens. But this is the guy. This is him taking a little walk. This is the guy literally walking out. Yeah, he's literally rolling away from it. It's pretty remarkable. So all of that was covered, and then we move on. Just another accident, another oopsie. Everybody tried hard, I guess, and that would be the end of it. However, there's a few things more to consider here. Let's do this first. I want to show the crash from this is the clip. This is the actual from CCTV caught this crash in real time from the takeoff. This was during takeoff. Here we go. So we can see. Actually, so it's going off in the background there. Taking off. We see some smoke already. Hard to tell if anything abnormal just yet. As it goes, it's going down. There it is. Very unfortunate. And then we have this. This just pulls on the heartstrings here. This family right here. This literally was taken seconds before. Really pretty sad. Pretty sad. Again, only one survivor from this crash. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Here's one more angle, and then I think this one is where it kind of gets weird for us. Check this out. There. Okay. So this could be nothing or it could be something, but there's a couple dots that were right next to it that seemed to flash right next to the plane. Mm-hmm. Watch this. Watch this carefully. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. You see that? You guys see that?
Yeah.
It's a little weird. A little weird.
I don't know.
A little weird. So we're just gonna plant that seed for you guys that there might be something there. But putting that aside, there's one other red flag I wanted before we go on to the next story. There's one more red flag on this story here, and it comes from this. from James Lee, 24. Just before committing suicide, Boeing whistleblower John Barnett warned of major quality issues in the company's 787 aircraft that could lead to a fatal crash. And then today, this was yesterday, the India Boeing 787 bound for London crashes shortly after takeoff, killing 242 people. RIP. Here we go. This is John Barnett. Dead whistleblower warned of safety breaches. And now he's dead. He actually, according to this, yes, John Barrett claimed the firm tried to eliminate quality inspections at a plant that makes 787 planes. And that's it. He dies. They say it was if you see at the bottom of the 62-year-old's death after 2 days of testimony. So he does 2 days of testimony, and on the third day, he doesn't make it back to court because he decided randomly to give himself a self-inflicting gunshot wound. There you go. So these red flags, we can't fully prove anything on the show, but we can just tell you guys always look a little deeper before something just gets written off as your everyday tragedy. This could be a lot more than that. So just throwing that out there. Craig, any thoughts on that before we go on to the number 2?
No, let's get on to number 2. It was very interesting to hear that story. I'm going to look more a little into that and see what's going on. It is sad to see the family over there, and yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I just think the right's going to blame DEI.
Yeah, of course. That's their go-to. That's their go-to. Okay, here we go.
Boeing has it.
Yep. Okay, coming in at number 2, the U.S. no longer is pursuing the goal of Palestinian state. Well, did they announce this or what's going on? Well, after last night, we can certainly say that that's not a priority. I don't think it ever has, but we knew that this was just BS from the beginning. But let's go closer to where we're getting this, because Craig, you shared this with me, and it's because Mike Huckabee.
We're not even faking it anymore, Matt.
Yes. Do you want to read the?
We're not even faking it anymore. Yeah. The U.S. ambassador said a state for Palestinians could be carved out of a Muslim country. This is Mike Huckabee when he says the U.S. is no longer pursuing the goal of a Palestinian state. Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, told Bloomberg in an interview published on Tuesday that he believes the U.S. is no longer pursuing the goal of an independent Palestinian state. We forgot about that one. Only the main thing, not even faking it, getting it done. Problem from voting for the most Zionist administration in all administrations. We've seen nothing like it. Unless there are some significant things that happen that change the culture, there's no room for it, the former Arkansas governor told the outlet, adding that he didn't think those changes would happen in our lifetime. When we're long and gone, maybe they'll work it out. When I asked if the U.S. is still pursuing the goal of a Palestinian state, he said, I don't think so. They're just so casual about it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I got to go back. Can I get back to you on that one? Here's my card. Call me.
Yeah.
What a fucking joke, by the way.
Yeah.
Too. Well, I don't mean to be an activist or an advocate or whatever I'm doing right now. I always try to be, honest, balanced journalism, but this is some horse shit.
Yeah.
Everything that guy just said there is bullshit. And his daughter is signing a law as governor now of Arkansas, I believe, making it that state representatives that get their paycheck from the state of Arkansas use the term Judea and Samaria, I believe, instead of using the West Bank and Gaza. They don't exist anymore. I mean, soaking the religion into the fucking state constitution.
It's disgusting. And the bottom line, as a Christian Zionist, Huckabee believes that God gave historic Palestine to the modern state of Israel. Well, since you believe it, I guess it's true. And we won't challenge you on that because you're not supposed to challenge people on their beliefs. So go for it. Bring that all into your policy and your maneuvering and manipulating of the people who think that Trump has some other plan, that he cares about Palestinians more than the Democrats do. Guess what, guys? Spoiler alert, neither of them care about the Palestinians, but these guys are just, like Craig said, this guy, they're just a little more obviously shouting out loud about it. That's all.
In
That's all
Arkansas, it is definitely Judea and Samaria, not Judea and Samaria. Sorry, guys. Get it right.
Get it right.
Get it right.
It sounds even worse when you say it like that. Okay, well, that's it. No
not
shock
Samaria,
here.
It's Samaria.
Yeah.
It's biblical.
No shock here.
Get it right.
Get it right.
Praise
Get it
you.
right. Yeah.
I mean, this is just like, and that's the thing. Once again, I mean, everybody's cool with this, right? Everything's okay. Yeah, all right. This is the libertarians. This is the party you supported right here. These right wingers, right? Okay. Like you didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Coming in at number one for the top censored news of the week. ICE and Palantir's connection at the hip revealed to have been in place long before Trump's second term even began. What's this? So it's not really speculation. It's a real deal. And this goes to show you that we're dealing with something that goes well beyond what Trump has planned. It's something that's greater than anything he wants or doesn't want. This was always in motion. This is from biometricupdate.com. ICE advances sole source deal with Palantir for new surveillance backbone. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's ICE, is preparing to move forward with a sole source contract to Palantir Technologies for the development of the next generation of its investigative case management, that's the ICM system, which includes biometrics for migrant identification. Oh, what could possibly go wrong in this? That's insane. Okay. It's essential to ICE, where it serves as the primary software environment for managing case files, exchanging intelligence, tracking investigative data across multiple agencies, and tracking people. It is intertwined with ICE's controversial immigration life cycle operating system, which was also developed by Palantir, much to the consternation of privacy and civil rights advocates. Palantir was co-founded by Trump supporter and Elon Musk pal, Peter Thiel. And those of you guys who know, there's been people on this story from the beginning, and we want to always give shout out to Whitney Webb, Derek Bros, who've been covering this the whole time, shouting about it, and not too many people have been paying attention. And this was well before Trump got into office. Just another page here on it was designed to serve as the backbone, investigative operations, allows agents and analysts to create, track, and manage criminal investigations across a broad range of activities, including human trafficking, transnational crime, cybercrime, narcotics, financial offenses, and immigration violations. Again, so this is about putting everything in one database, giving all the control to a private company, which then will facilitate and coordinate and be in charge at the top of the food chain with the other government agencies, these three-letter agencies running at the behest of this super duper supercomputer company, Dr. Evil company, Palantir. And it goes on from here, but I want to skip to the end. This part's important. This move follows several years of procurement planning and vendor evaluation, including an industry day held in June of 2023 and a formal request of information in July of 2024. More than 50 responses were received. Multiple commercial off-the-shelf technology demonstrations were conducted. So we're showing you guys that this was being planned every step of the way. And the goal, the next goal at the bottom, you see ICM. They have a critical goal of September of 2026 to get everything in place. And that's the Palantir deadline for their high performance, high security standard they're trying to get. So they are fast tracking many years of work and development to get to this goal. And here we are now. The critics obviously say that this is entrenching on the private sector, the public surveillance infrastructure, of course. And why we aren't talking about this, why the protesters in the streets right now don't even know about this is insane, because this is, if you want to protest something, it really is this. Nonetheless, the bottom, ICE maintains that its partnership with Palantir has proven effective and reliable. The agency believes that Palantir's comprehensive approach, combining secure data analysis, real-time investigative tools, and a track record of performance within DHS makes it the best and only choice to meet the mission-critical demands of the next generation ICM system.
Can we say something real quick?
We're
Like,
screwed.
here's the thing that we talked about the fact that the people in the streets right now, right? They don't even know that this is going to happen on. This is something worthy of protesting. But let me say something, and you can say I'm wrong, you can say I'm right, or we don't know. We can figure this out. Is that the people in the street are okay with that? They're okay with it as long as their guy is behind the scenes doing it. The Democrat, not the Republican.
Yeah, that's true.
To them, it's the same mentality from the right. Hey, the screw ups are screw ups, but we'd rather have our guy in place because at least we'll get something. We'll have some representation. The left feels the same way, and they fall into that ping pong two-party divide. Yeah.
Well, this is important because the people championing Trump, like, this is a good thing because he's in charge. It's a good thing that he's going to control it in an accurate way. Well, look at these. You mentioned Laura Loomer in the earlier segment. I mean, this is insane that you're already having these deliberate.
You have it. Cool.
There it is. These are the deliberate. Yeah, the deliberate talking points coming right out of that machine, the right-wing populist machine. I'm going to say populist because it's not. This is all controlled to try and merge that what we're seeing in the streets right now means that they need to be punished. It's out of control. It's time to deploy Palantir to LA to deal with the illegals. You know you'd love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. So she's not only saying we have to solve this with AI and surveillance state, she's saying we're going to get off watching it happen to people that are less than us with no clue of the ramifications. Even if you are a racist piece of crap that doesn't care about undocumented workers, this happening to them, the fact that you aren't even self-aware enough to know that this is for everyone, you idiot, this is for everyone. Everyone. It's not selective. War on terror is not for them over there and not for us. It's for everyone, regardless of what you think about illegals. It's for everyone. That's the part a lot of these righties are missing right now. But this is happening so fast, Craig. Like, to say this now, bring on Palantir. That's the scary part.
It looks like, I don't know. You would think that Donald Trump would lose support of his, following, his base. But, I guess nobody's really made the move. It almost seems like he's blitzkrieging everything into play right now. It was always about Palantir. It was always about security surveillance state. And, that's what they're supposed to be against. And they're going to they're all getting their new IDs, their real IDs. You know what I'm saying? That track and trace systems come into play. Yeah. And, with Donald Trump, he's more efficient at getting it done. Because like we said, if it was Kamala trying to do some of these things, forget about it. And that I just want people to realize that, we're getting played across the board. So, yeah.
And if you guys missed who the head of Palantir, we talk about Peter Thiel. I don't know if you guys missed Alex Karp. Here's a little tiny best of, just so you guys understand
who's in charge.
Yeah. How Dr. Evil, I'm not being like, I'm not over exaggerating this. This guy is literally a narcissistic, sociopathic, Zionist psychopath. I'm telling you guys, watch this tiny little clip of him saying the worst of the worst.
Effective way for social change is humiliate your enemy and make them poorer. I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination. I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
Did you catch that last one? How to punish analysts who try to screw us? Who's he talking about there? People that have been calling out Zionism, calling out genocide, wow. So to be attacked, physically attacked, not just shut down in your bank accounts and turning off our socials, turning off everything. You're talking about physically attacking people that disagree with you. This is what we're talking about moving ahead, this technocratic era. It didn't matter if it was the WEF or if it's Palantir. It doesn't matter. We're going to the same destination. So that's it. And before we bring in our guest, I'm just going to end this on I told you so to people that are thinking that Trump's immigration policies are all about getting the illegals out. They're not. They aren't. He said this, and this isn't Trump backing off because he's being defeated. It's Trump backing off because it was never about immigration. He only used it as a tool, a means to get to where we're going. Watch this. I don't know if people missed this part. He said this yesterday.
Hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for him for 20 years. They They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Wow. Snuck in the hotel. In the hotel. Oh, like it's the same thing. And hotels too. No, hotels you could probably hire, a little bit more Americans. But, just sneaking in because that's what he has, a lot of hotels.
But that's the point, is that it was about making a statement. The crazy ass raids that happened here in LA, get everybody scared. Those were real. I'm not saying those weren't real. There were people ripped out from graduations from elementary schools. This happened right here. This is what got people in the street, rightfully so. But know this, it's bigger than that. It was never about the immigration. You can't take away from all the corporations. They're all going to lose their bottom lines. If you you have to stop it at some point. So it's being pulled back, and now we have tomorrow's June 14th, where we can then So we're going to talk about all that
really
as it
quickly.
Unfolds,
Share my video there really quickly because as you were playing that Alex Karp, it reminded me of this Family Guy. A little quick 12 seconds over here, and this is how the ruling class looks at us when you get Bill Gates and I can't remember who's up there with him. But go ahead and watch. Oh, I got to play it.
Yeah, you got to.
Here you go.
Man, the people look like ants from up here. They are ants, Michael. They are ants.
And I think that should do it for Top Censored News
of
the week.
Jesus, man.
Okay.
I should be saying that while there's a biblical war taking place. Forgive me.
I know. Well, we have to be, again, like,
and it ain't biblical. You're just spinning it to use the Bible. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's it's this small percentage of people that run this earth just playing with our lives. They don't care that we're ants to them. Really, it's disgusting what they're doing. This is nuts. What's going on?
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and bring in our guest correspondent, regular on the show. You guys know him, you love him. Today, out of all days, we're gonna appreciate some very thoughtful commentary and some analysis on the things that have been going on over this last week here. As society crumbles, he's still on the ground doing the work, doing the stuff the mainstream media won't do. Thank you so much, Don, for being here. Don DeBAR, welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
What's going on, Goomba?
Hey, man, how much weight did you lose?
40.
No kidding.
40.
I see it like on TV, even, so it's pretty damn good, man.
Well, I was told I got a good face for radio, so I figured I'd lean into it.
It looks good on you, though. So, well, let's yuck it up. I mean,
let's yuck it up, and like if you see what we try to keep when possible, little tongue in cheek, just so we're not getting to suicidal places ourselves. Like this is some horrible stuff going on. So I'm just going to intro this, and you take it from here, Don. We're going to have a conversation about what's going on in the Israel-Iran war escalation. So I'm going to throw this up just for fun. We're going to call this World War III Watch. Here we go.
Okay.
World War III Watch. Let's just face it, it's already started. Now more than ever, it seems that we're in the starting point of it. We're here, co-host Craig Pasta Jardula. We have guest correspondent Don DeBAR with us, breaking down what's been transpiring over the last less than 24 hours with Iran getting attacked, getting striked on by Israel, and how we are responding to this, how the mainstream's responding to this, Trump's maneuvering, and how the media seems like they're going to be manufacturing right now in real time public consent for World War III. I'll pass it to you, Don. What's your initial takes on what's been transpiring here?
We've had some, I'd say, false starts before on the, path to Armageddon with Israel bombing Iran and some of the other crazy stuff that they've done either on their own or playing proxy to the United States. But just yesterday, a lot of the analysts of people that, that we all know that were saying this wouldn't happen. It was bluster and, whatever. Others were warning that this is how dangerous this is, basically, and that it seemed like Netanyahu and or Trump or some grouping with one or the other fronting was determined to get here. And, we woke up in the middle of the night. That's when I found out that, that Netanyahu had bombed Tehran and elsewhere in Iran, tried to decapitate the military, somewhat successfully. I don't know what the command structure was like, but there were several key officers that were taken out, apparently. And then, Iran's options, even if it were, had the military power of the United States scaled down, they're either to let's have a full war here now, or let's find some way to finesse this and avoid it and try to, find some deterrence to impose on the other side in the process. This is kind of the same game that Russia's been, playing in Ukraine and elsewhere, really, over the last 20-something years, maybe 30 years. And the China's had to play also with Tehran and the South China Sea and elsewhere. You have an empire that has been, it's the successor to a series of empires that are, in one sense or another, the successor to the Roman Empire. The U.S. empire is sort of an agglomeration of the British and Dutch and Spanish and, other European empires. And there was a product of the consolidation process that took place over the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. And suddenly, having reached almost global hegemony, it looked like it was within reach in 1991, it started to wane, and the limits of it have been becoming more and more apparent. The rise of BRICS, the rise of the idea of multipolarity generally as a human right, the alliances that have been building and the cracks of the various sanctions regimes and wars conducted by the U.S. and its allies, the result of the now for almost 50 years of austerity on their home populations in Europe and the U.S., both in terms of how that translates into their willingness to support the kinds of adventures that have been the norm over the last period, certainly since World War II, and to even give more. You've been seeing pushback in Europe now for a good 15, 20 years over that stuff. And in the United States, we've seen it flare up a few times around the, let's say in Seattle in the 1990s and the early 2000s around Iraq and, all the way through Occupy Wall Street and now, the last few years or 5-6 years ago now, Black Lives Matter and in the streets today, even these needs that are unsatisfied and actually created by the misallocation and theft of our resources, instead of being applied to maintaining what seems like an unmaintainable position of dominance in the world. We heard our friend, you get behind their eyes, what goes on in their head, and they'll tell you dominance. They're like overgrown, dogs or wolves or bears or, some crude, stupid, angry animal is cruising for beef or something. This is in the 21st century, as we have spacecraft, broaching the limits of the solar system. This is what is running the collective labor and capital of humanity and our planet. They want dominance. So, as that becomes more unsustainable and people are less willing to sacrifice and increase the sacrifice, you're seeing these cracks everywhere.
Yeah.
There are people in the street because of immigration, okay? And they're ready to take on the police. This is what they say they're there for. They're witnessing for the last 2 years and change an actual genocide on their own TV sets. And while they march here and there, they're not throwing their bodies on it like they're doing right now in Los Angeles and some other places. This war that we see, it's developing here right now, let alone the war that has been underway as a hot war for the last, it'll be 3 years in February, or 4 years. 4 years in February. They're not throwing their bodies on that at all. And as a matter of fact, a good portion of the people who are out there for the human rights of people who are undocumented aren't really worried about the human rights of most of humanity getting wiped out in a nuclear war, and the fact that our government is toying with that for the private interests of a few people. I mean, the whole thing is crazy looking at it.
Yeah.
And how do you figure out where the breakpoints are, where to push, who to ally with, and what program to adopt in that alliance? It's a very difficult calculus, and there's an awful lot of contradiction among all the people that we've been used to, or at least that I've been used to being an ally with, over the last 50 years. And particularly that contradiction has been.
I have an answer, by the way.
Say again?
I have an answer who you align with. You align with Don, Matt, and Pasta, because we're going to have the conversations that need to be had, right, to get to the bottom of this. I think that there's it is crazy, and I'm glad that you kind of pointed it out that this is just nuts. I mean, what's going on? However, I would say that, a lot of these kids that are out there in LA, and I haven't got a chance to get out there, but, I noticed some groups out there. Obviously, I know who some of the groups are out there. And, I was going to point out the fact that, the left is so disorganized. There's groups that don't even talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? They're not on page. I think the important messages will be missed. But a lot of these kids who are enraged about what is going on with immigration and Donald Trump sending the ICE task, they were at least appearing. I think it's more of a smokescreen. I don't think he's going to ever get to the numbers that the Deporter-in-Chief Obama gets to. But either way, a lot of those kids did align with the Israel-Gaza situation. So I think there is a chance for them to pay attention to what's going on right now the more we get out there and talk about these things.
Being allied is one thing. We were in Chicago. We saw what, there were a lot of young people that were in the street during the Democratic convention on behalf of the people of Gaza and Palestinian people in general. It's true. Look at the fury right now and compare that to the mood of the people then. Also, more importantly, look at the amount of energy. Look at the activists, quote unquote, that are at the periphery of the Democratic Party who are also deeply embedded in all of these other movements around the issue of this friggin' parade in Washington, D.C. That much more oxygen is being given to, Trump is trying to have a Hitlerite birthday party for himself in Washington, D.C. that's going to make the streets collapse and bankrupt, the nearest 12 municipalities, compared to, by the way, Netanyahu just tried to light a match to the gasoline that is soaking World War III. There's a whole distortion and you have this problem going around, by the way. If you have two cohorts, to simplify it, and put red and blue shirts on them that are out here and they focus on electoral politics and the politics of the moment in the media, television or whatever. And then you look at these actual issues and who's adopted what and what they say. You can almost see like the ghost of these two cohorts operating inside those things. And I haven't seen any of these movements that should happen. The movement against apartheid in Israel, let alone the genocide. The movement against the war being imposed on Iran and others, the takedown of Syria, all the horrors that have happened, since 2001, if you want to start there, or 1948, if you want to start there, or wherever. You don't see that kind of energy applied to that you see, like, for example, with respect to the stupid parade or with respect to ICE and deportations. And so,
well, the social engineers, they know exactly which
I know that part,
right?
I know that part. I'm talking about this part. When you go into the leadership and talk to the people in the movements, quote unquote, today, okay, and raise that point, you'll find that one of the reasons is that they identify with that set of arguments more than that set of arguments, when both sets of arguments are intended for the other audience and not to solve the problem, which tells you they don't really understand what the fuck they're looking at.
Yeah.
And that's the problem for me that I see.
Well, I was going to also say racism is a big driver for young kids to get them out of there. They got out in the streets during George Floyd because of what was racism, right? And now here it is again. It's, xenophobia, racism again. They're deporting the brown man. So, I mean, there is something like, I don't know, in some situations, very narcissistic why a person wants to take to the streets sometimes, because they want to prove that they're not one of the bad ones that are racist like their fathers and their forefathers.
Malcolm and Martin Luther King and a whole legion of others teach us that if you're not looking at colonialism and imperialism while you look at racism, then you don't know what the fuck you're looking at.
Yeah.
No, and that's
got to be focused more on classism. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's exactly the point, Don. That's Martin Luther King saying that. It's not just that was his breaking point. That was his aha moment. I think in his last year of life, his aha moment was that it's all connected, man. But it's worse than it's all connected, man. It's that the source of the problem comes from the military dominance on the planet, and we have to go battle that. And then, of course, when you start to turn your attention there, you get even more pushback. You get more punishment, more making an example of. And then, of course, that means you're onto something, right? The closer you get to the source of the problem, and the more you're getting close, because you're getting more pushback, more consequences. So how do we get the people in the street to understand what they're more about, why they're in the street, beyond that emotion that was given to them when they were told by their tribe it's time to go, when they don't understand historical context? I think the way we can do that might be to look back at a time where they might have missed it then, but it's easier to see in the review mirror rather than in the moment. In the moment, we're very emotional. So going back to the Israel-Iran situation now, we understand that this trick, they are tricking us. We've done this over and over, 6-7 wars in 5 years. We've done this over and over. This is, I would pull this out for people. I would say, look, this was 2002. This is Israel putting pressure on U.S. to strike Iraq. So I think that the people right now can agree, now that that was 2002, it's 2025, we can agree that there were no weapons of mass destruction. It's not such a crazy idea to say that they lied us into something. 1 million Iraqis killed for no reason, manufactured this war on terror. You could talk to pretty much anyone that way, and they would have to agree with that. Not too many people would be like, no, we that was the right thing. So they're doing it again. Netanyahu speaking like this you can't tell what year this clip took place in, but this is Netanyahu. I think this is a more recent one, but he does this every single time. Here we go.
The Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
So if we can let people know little by like that they're hitting us against each other, they're manufacturing consent for another war that's not, we're on the wrong side of it, and both parties are doing it, then they can maybe start to second guess when their party says to them, we're fighting, whether it's Bernie or AOC telling you we're fighting the oligarchy, stop Trump. We have to say, wait a minute, we need to fight the whole thing. So I don't know, maybe it's just one conversation at a time, but these two things are happening simultaneously right now, but it's all connected. Like, it's all connected, man. We need to have these conversations. And I don't know if it's too late, because tomorrow is June 14th, and there's so many people who are going to be outside without a clue of what is actually happening, but they are certainly pissed about something.
Well, first of all, Netanyahu definitely knows about barbarism. That's the same stuff he was saying today. He's been saying since yesterday and today, the rap about weapons of mass destruction from 2002 and 3, that Iran is 6 minutes from being able to produce at least 9 or 19 nuclear weapons. I forget what number he made up. And that the most dangerous regime in the world cannot be allowed to have the most dangerous weapons in the world. And so we prevented that from happening. That's his rap. That someone appointed him, like they appointed Bush and Obama and a dozen other, I want to say lessers if you could find them, to be the guardians of the planet by bombing the shit out of people, whenever it suited their interests. I don't know what kind of a response Iran can give that doesn't produce an escalation. Even if they were to sit on their hands, that invites an escalation. Of course, the minute you blow up something inside Israel, the money starts flowing in the United States, and the TV hand-wringing begins, and all of that, and the flag of anti-Semitism is waved by people who are afraid of it, and others who actually harbor those feelings. They use it. It's another, pair of cohorts at each other's throats that have really little to do with the actual problem at hand, but they are able to stifle a solution of the problem at hand by, putting the focus, just making this the shiny thing. We're really in a very dangerous position, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of responsible players in Washington or anywhere really in Europe outside of Russia, and we need to find some pretty goddamn soon, or there's not going to. We are literally risking extermination. Yeah. And we ain't got a lot of time. And if you look around the set of people that any of us know, there are very few people that even understand like human society at that level where such a thing is possible, let alone where the mechanism for it has been designed, built, and deployed, and is now activated.
I mean, we have a couple people that have been consistent every time. We know Glenn Greenwald has been on this, and he gave a shout out. I like this, so this made me feel like good, man. He's looking out for some of the people that don't get as much, attention that he gets. And I've been following this guy, this Squirrel that says there's no Trump turn on Netanyahu, just like there wasn't a real permanent ceasefire in January. This is all bullshit. Pretense ahead of the joint U.S.-Israel war on Iran is now imminent. And then if you look at the bottom, it's May 9th. So Squirrel put this out May 9th, and Glenn Greenwald is highlighting this. So I'll just read the bottom of Squirrel's tweet, that they're pathetically trying to establish the element of surprise ahead of the launch, but you would have to be an effing idiot to fall for it. Glenn Greenwald says Squirrel's a prophet when virtually everyone believed there was some Trump Netanyahu split, and Trump was determined to prevent Israel from bombing Iran. This is the 5D chess we talk about, 6D chess. It's not real. Only to now learn that the whole thing was a ruse, and the U.S. and Israel jointly planned the attack. We're not being pressured into it. We are planning it. And like you said, Don, not too many people are getting this right. or at the right time. But even if it's too late, they're still not getting it right.
I think the argument is misplaced. That's part of the reason. For an example, we've got the situation that just occurred with the attack on the strategic bombers of Russia's Air Force, the part of the nuclear, deterrence. For people that don't understand, when you have two countries that have oodles of nuclear weapons that can destroy the other and pretty much everything else, but just at the push of a button and the passage of an hour or two. And the primary deterrence to stopping them, the primary thing stopping them from doing it to their enemy, if it isn't morality, is the knowledge that as soon as that enterprise is undertaken, as soon as you launch the material, the other side, having the capacity to strike back, is going to strike back. The doctrine was called mutually assured destruction. It's a legacy. It was born in the post World War II era, in the so-called Cold War, and it, in essence, what said that the reason that you're not going to blow me up is because I'm going to blow you up, and as long as I can blow you up, you won't blow me up. Yeah. And so it's been acknowledged in treaties and agreements and conversation, generally polite talk among the upper echelons of power, that one thing you don't do is compromise the strategic deterrence of the other party, because it must say to them, these guys are coming in first strike. I now have to fire all my stuff. And yet, this is exactly what was done a week and a half ago with an attempt to take out an entire, I don't know what the term is, wing, squadron, a whole chunk.
Triad.
Yeah, of their nuclear defense. And is in a surprise attack, no less. So, which leaves, someone sitting on the ground who's in charge of making sure Russia doesn't get destroyed without destroying the guys doing it, like 6 minutes or something to decide whether or not to push that irretrievable launch button. They did this a week and a half ago. So then the question becomes, well, who did it? And who's capable of doing it? Now, we know Donald Trump ran as a presidential candidate both times, as a matter of fact, warning of the dangers of a war with Russia. In this particular case, warning of the war that has been undertaken with Russia, and of the absolute need to end it immediately because it threatens humanity's existence. And this was one of the things that got him elected. There's a large piece of the population that bought that, and that was why they voted for him. And yet, this happened. And it is clear to anyone with any understanding of the mechanical processes involved that this happened with the deep involvement of U.S. intelligence, U.S. military, U.S. intelligence and military.
It was MI6
resources, and whomever else. MI6, your mama intel from some winky dink, whatever.
The West.
The United States helped or itself engineered this. Now, the question becomes, did they do this in the chain of command? In other words, is this Trump's okie doke, or is this thing that operates? No, Trump, we don't give a shit about him. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Is that what's happening? Now, here's the problem. We can argue about that shit all we want. We don't know. And here's the fact. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter who said let's do this and who didn't, who would like to see it happen and who wouldn't. The people in power, whoever they are, have their hands on the button and we're able to do this. And our job is to stop them from doing it any further. Yeah. So the only relevance of who's on which side is, well, which one of them should we take our case to and hope that they will fix this, which means we have to rely on someone else to do it. And the problem is there's nobody we can rely on.
Yeah.
Which brings us to an interesting point in our history, which is that this is something that we have to fix ourselves and that we have to do pretty goddamn soon. And we have nothing to model from. We have very little actual information about the operations of all of these things other than the crap we see on television, read the newspaper or whatever. And again, we have very little time.
And let's be honest too, though, technically, and I mean technically, what technically? Trump can turn off the spigot tomorrow without any need from. Well, wait.
Legally, he can. Yes.
I said technically, Don. Hold on a second. Not the forces that be. It's kind of like Zelensky cannot. Zelensky technically can sign a surrender, but the Azov battalion and his goons won't let him. They'll kill him. So he can't really. I mean, technically, Donald Trump, because he's the president of the United States, can turn off the spigot immediately. And I think a lot of people expected him when he's saying, I'll end it in 24 hours. Like, that's what he could do. That's what he's going to do it. But then he gets in and he shows us that he can't do it, right? Because somebody else, whoever's controlling the things, you know, even mainstream voices like Judge Knapp and all these other guys are believing that Donald Trump's not in control, that somebody else is, which is a big thing to ask. Because when you start talking about that taking out the triad of the nuclear weapon, especially with the treaty sign that we leave our bombers out in the open, and you do that, right? Yeah. Like the people in Russia that are in the know are not stupid. With the assassination attempt of a bunch of drones coming near his helicopter too, as well. Yep. Donald Trump, know or not know, is in the big picture important, because if he didn't, then it just proves that there's a government within the government running things, and Donald Trump was tasked to get rid of it, and he's in fact just capitulating towards it.
I mean, I think that's the case. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem we have. Suppose he goes on television tomorrow and says, look, Iran saying that I could, do this. Legally, I can do it. I had enough contacts here in the government and people that I trusted that I thought would do their job when I gave them instructions. I can't do it. My going here and going on television even means they're going to try to shoot me. The only thing I can do is ask you all to go in the street and follow me. Now, right. Okay. Where does that leave you? Is it a fake to overthrow the constitutional order? Or is it an end run around the overthrown, formerly constitutional order to try to get to a place where there's no war? And how do we make a determination about that?
Well, we make the determination. We already know the guy's full of shit, and that's
that doesn't mean. But supposing that, I mean, they're all full of shit. They're all power hungry. They're all sociopaths. And out of the ones being full of shit, he's the only one that said a war with Russia is a bad idea. Yeah. So, well, he's full of shit, and they may be crazy, but these people are definitely crazy, whether they're full of shit or not, because they don't think a war.
There's been other voices who've been saying this is a bad idea before it happened. We don't need him coming along and saying, oh, this is a bad idea. No, they're not following through with anything, because now with him saying that, and the narrative management saying this one thing and doing another is completely bad, because then he gets the population to make excuses for doing those actions.
I'm not talking about making excuses. I'm talking about we're running out of time for excuses.
I get that. I agree with that.
All right. So he's full of shit. We ignore him. Next, what do we do?
Well, whatever the case may be, we have to acknowledge the fact that the solutions come outside the two-party duopoly.
Yeah, okay. Everybody.
No matter what, no matter what, it has to happen. It's a form of a revolution, Matt. I'm sorry, go ahead, buddy.
No, I'm going to suggest this. If we all agree that the people have to act outside of this system, then in order to be a stronger movement, we have to. And I think this is the theme of today's discussion: is how do we get people aligned? How do you do that? Well, since there's still so many people thinking Trump is playing 3D, 5D, 6D, 7D chess. Maybe the best way to get them is, rather than saying your guy's a son of a bitch and he's a sociopath like the rest, that's not going to get them. What if you go with, because it doesn't really matter which way it is. The point is he can't do anything. So let's tell them he can't do anything. He tried. He can't. He thought he had more power. He doesn't. Let's go with that. And maybe they'll be more willing to listen to. The only way we can stop the annihilation of the planet is we have to go up against the entire duopoly, the entire oligarchy together. That Trump, even if he means well, he can't do it. By the way, there's no U.S. president ever who's ever since JFK, and we saw what happened to him. You're not allowed to say, Israel, you got this on your own. We're going to sit this one out. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. So even when he's lying and saying yesterday, Trump said we didn't know about this. He couldn't even do that. He had a backstep, and we played that clip earlier that everyone went on Fox, and even the CNN reporters, Dana Bash is putting stuff out. This is, by the way, I'm going to put this one up. This is damage control, because Trump was not even allowed to say we didn't know. It's not really us, even though we know that he knows it is, but he wasn't even allowed to do that. Dana Bash had to correct it. Hey guys, just so you know, I talked to Trump, so all that stuff you heard about him not knowing or not being part of this, he is, and he told me that the U.S. supports Israel and called the strikes on Iran last night very successful attack. Well, we of course support Israel, obviously, and supported it. Obviously, it has to have obviously in there, and support it like nobody's ever supported it. There we go. Trump said during our brief phone call. That's what I called damage control. Now, Craig, I ask you, rather than going off of this and saying what a piece of ass Trump is for deliberately defying and just this so disgusting that he's saying, yeah, let's go all in. Rather than going that way, why don't we have the conversation with the Trump people and tell them he tried to get out? Maybe, we don't know. But the point is, he can't do anything else but say we support Israel no matter what. That's the problem. There's no way around that. There's no president that's allowed to do otherwise, or you end up like JFK. Thoughts on that?
Well, I think that we have to identify where people are right now, especially after the Palantir situation, right? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. You're talking to somebody who always wants to talk to the white belts, and if it's more convincing, and I do have it open. And once again, I don't, I yell and scream he's full of shit, but I do it in a very nice way. I still have a lot of Trump people I talk to. I do it at a lot of Trump events. I speak, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, come on. You know what I'm saying? I do it on my radio show, right, when a Trump person calls on in. So, I mean, there is a way to talk about it. But I think right now the assessment has to be, are there enough people who said, okay, Mr. Leahy, they crossed the shit line, right? Like, you don't cross my shit line, we don't cross yours, Ricky. But that crap line has been crossed with the Palantir collecting data, I think, from a lot of people. So do we build our movement with those people and going, okay, you know what I'm saying? There's only so much we can do, right? You know, people are going to trust the plan. You know what I mean? Trust the plan no matter what. So those people, we can't get them, but we don't necessarily need them. And, I think there's also a lane to hit back hard at the MAGA media, because they're not media. They're cheerleaders, and they're sucking up all the oxygen out of the room, and they've gotten a lot of help from Elon Musk, and we have to combat their issues, because let's not forget that the fourth estate, no matter at what level, right, its job is to hold the government accountable. And you can't do that if you're rooting for Donald Trump, because right now he is the government. So, I mean, we need assessments all around, but we just need to continue to have these conversations. I think that's the most important thing.
So you have a condition where you've got two major cohorts who are sort of, focused on each other as enemy, whereas the troops of the enemy, or the suckers, or whatever of the enemy. And in each case, the numbers of among each of those two groups, do you have faith in the government or the institutions or whatever? The no's outweigh the yeses by like a bazillion.
Yeah,
80%. People think, everyone in Congress is a crook. 6% trust the media, like that.
Yeah.
Whether you're this side or that side. Was this election stolen? Yes. Who won the other side? Democrat or Republican? If a Republican won, a Democrat says it was stolen. A Democrat won, a Republican says that. Nobody has faith in the integrity of the elections or any of the institutions. So that's the soil that everything else takes place in. Now you've got a situation where, on the one hand, the people that supposedly will do what they promise are out of office because they haven't done that in decades, except for the bad things. And the one who promised some things and has been delivering the bad things too. On the other, there are two groups have no real affinity for the institution. The Democrats are holding themselves out now as we're going to be the saviors of the institution of democracy and, et cetera, the Constitution, et cetera. The Republicans, again, the supporters of Trump, see themselves as playing the same role. In each case, what's being advocated before them and with their support is that the only solution to your problem is extra constitutional. It's outside. It's, in other words, the only way to save the country from the communist alien protesters, which is what the Trump people are being fed, is to send in the military, whether it's legal or not, to maybe dissolve. If you ask them about dissolving Congress by presidential proclamation, that would probably get a very high positive among that group of people, for example. And the other group of people have already been willing, you've seen, to support and or commit any sin to the Constitution or democracy possible to keep Trump out of office.
Yeah.
So you kind of like have already, I won't say cheapened, because it was pretty damn cheap at the beginning, being built on genocide and slavery and all. But to in essence abandon really any pretense that a requirement to follow the constitutional order at this moment, with public sentiment being that, well, the institutions really don't deliver anyway. They're not, it's a very dangerous moment for any kind of demagoguery that ends up poking its head up, floating to the top of the sewage, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on to, we've been talking about it because it's all connected. It's all connected. But there is this massive national protest tomorrow. They're calling it No Kings mass protest. This is the little logo they came up with. No Kings.
Yeah. Okay.
And they put this little crown with the X through it.
Short
and this
answer.
is their target. This is how it works. Is you put all the emotion, all the confusion, all the fear, and we have it here. Believe me, there's a lot going on here in LA where we've been on the ground. We've been covering this last week, and we've seen people getting pulled out of. This has actually happened. The ICE raids were real. Trump has backed off. We showed a clip of him saying we're going to back off on these raids. And it's not because the protesters stopped. It's because it was never. We know it was never about the immigration. It was about bringing in the surveillance state. But now you got this massive protest, and people are ready to go to their nearest place. We saw this first on the 9th when they said this is because of all these things aligning. Flag Day, Trump's birthday, 250th celebration of the Army. Wow, all on the same day. Imagine that. And they're calling it No Kings Day, Day of Defiance, and the map of the 50 states. So people are flocking to figure out how they can participate in this right now. But the problem is, like you mentioned on the last segment, Don, you mentioned that there is a massive pushback that was already in advance ready to get these protesters and teach them a lesson. And I'm just shocked at some of the words being said out loud before this event. Here is a police chief in Florida. I believe it's Broward County. I didn't check exactly where, but this is what's coming out of Florida right now. Craig,
it's not Broward County. I think it's one of the northern counties. But
it's in the northern county.
I think so.
I
saw it. It's creepy as
it's creepy as shit, and we need to be very concerned about the messaging going into these Saturday national protests. But let's take a listen to this.
I'm gonna break it down for you. All right. And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired, because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail.
So you see how he's building this up. He's building this up. If you do something small, we're going to do it back times 1,000 to you. So this is how law enforcement works, right? It's about escalating. It's about punishment. So this is also the system we're living in. And he's going to excuse us. He's not done. everything, every example is one notch further of what we're saying is okay in our law and order society.
If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at.
So now he's saying the officers that get something thrown at them, which is, again, that's illegal. There's a judicial system in place to prosecute people who do bring physical harm to police. No, I haven't heard any one death reported from an officer over the last week, but he's telling us out loud, he will kill you. He will kill you if an officer feels threatened by spit in their face. If the officer has to drive home to their family that night with spit going down his head, at least he knows that he murdered you, and that's how law and order works. And he's going to top it off by telling us all of this is to protect law and order.
Because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs.
Again, none of them died. They're getting attacked and spit on, but you're going to get murdered.
You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order.
There it is. Standing in the way of law and order.
This guy should be removed from office and charged criminally.
Yeah,
literally. I'm serious. Someone should do that. The Attorney General of Florida, or the Attorney General of one of the federal districts in Florida, the one where he's operating, I guess, or the Attorney General.
This is Florida. We back the blue over here, and actually we call him the green because it's the sheriff. We back him.
Yeah,
we back law and order over here. So, Trump country, recognize.
I mean that's criminal. What he literally.
But I just gave you applauding that, then frowning at it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I just gave you a link to a map.
Okay.
If you take a look at that map, which is the electoral map by county for 2024, against the map that was up in that segment over opinion on what's going on right now, you'll see they're almost identical. No, nothing has changed. Take a look at the map that was in that segment. That was basically illustrating the argument. Say that. Take a look.
Same one.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Now look, we've been out in the street. LA is the place that is the litmus test. It's the blueprint that the other cities are going to follow. We've already seen the similar behavior in the other parts of the country. And when I say behavior, we're talking about infiltration. We're talking about these deliberate acts of defiance that are not actually mostly coming from the protesters themselves. It's coming from these, I guess we call them, infiltrators, people that have been Psyop. This is not normal to have this amount of people coming from the crowd itself to go and start having all these weapons to begin with. Anyways, we're seeing this in other parts of the country, and that's what allows a police chief like in Florida to get away with this stuff. And he won't. I don't think he's going to be prosecuted. He's able to say this because we're able to see the visuals of what's happening around, starting in LA. But on the other hand, I'll tell you this: when it died down a bit in the last day or two, we went back out there to the same place that all this went down. And there's people showing up for the first time that have no clue. They have no clue that things had gotten this bad. And they're out there just completely ignorant of what's happening. And they've heard about the No Kings March. I asked them directly, are you planning to go? And of course they are. And as soon as I told them some of the stuff to be fearful of, that maybe they're involved in something that has bad intentions, even though you have good intentions, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear this. We told them. Christy Walton has aligned herself with this thing. Why does it make sense that a billionaire Walmart heiress is financially backing this thing that we just showed you guys on the map? And the logo, it's great. They've done a beautiful job creating this idea that by stopping Trump from being king, because that's what this is about. Trump just wants to be king. That's why we have a problem. If we just stop that, everything will go back to normal. Does it even cross their mind that this was the actual target of a people's movement against the oligarchy? She is the oligarchy, that Walmart protested against her, and now she's funding them. Do they care? I told them that in the street. They didn't seem to care, because it didn't matter enough. We just feel like we need to be here, and that's enough. Feelings are enough. That's how we control people, with feelings. They don't have to think too much outside of those feelings. They're just going to go with the feelings, and that's where things get dangerous.
One of the ways to crack that, of course, is to do what you're doing, which is to point out the contradictions. This 78-year-old billionairess happens to be an heir of one of the primary beneficiaries of the loss of manufacturing jobs to China and elsewhere, as more or less the risen, but they went on the rise as the retailer across the country, importing the stuff that was being shipped. The jobs are being shipped abroad, and instead of buying something in Macy's or Gimbel's or whatever, or Sears, that was manufactured in Kentucky or Maine or wherever, Walmart was opening up down the street. It was 5 times as large. The stuff cost half as much, and it was made in China, Malaysia, wherever. She's one of the primary beneficiaries, in other words, of the phenomenon that the people that have a problem with immigration are really protesting, even though they don't understand it, which is the fact that the economy was gutted by the elite here to take advantage of cheap labor and the horrible conditions that they helped create abroad, so that the workers here would be disempowered, and that they would be able to manufacture their goods at minuscule prices, which they continue to sell here. Yeah. She benefited from that. Those billions came from doing that.
I mean, the perspective of that, this isn't the first time this has happened. This is something I don't think people are aware that this image we're seeing. And this, again, I'm sharing another one from Florida, but this is coming right out of Miami. These are the bricks. They're already set up there. They're sitting there ready to people to pick up and create havoc in the street. We saw this with Black Lives Matter. I was on RT for the first time, actually, a few days ago, and I had a little window to talk, to the other parts of the world about what's happening here. And, it was my first time doing so. I tried to get in these bullet points, but the one when Black Lives Matter came up, we drew the connection, and I wish I had mentioned, because I only had the little window. And next time I want to bring this up, January 6th, that's also important. It's very important people understand how psyops work and how placing people in places to elevate people's emotions and get them to do groupthink, like we know the feds did in January 6th, said it was let's go into the Capitol, right? Ray Epps, let's go into the Capitol. So we
gotta go into the Capitol.
Yeah. And we say Fed. And even with people calling him out, he still continued to do that stuff. That was January 5th, right? We all saw that one. Yeah. And then January 6th, he's like, let's go, guys. It's time. We're going. This is the type of stuff the right knows about, yet they're too busy yelling at, we're going to stick Palantir on your effing asses, not understanding there's a correlation there. And then the left does not want to go back and look at Black Lives Matter as anything that was corrupt, because it was a good cause. Good causes get captured. Good causes get captured. How many effing times do we have to tell people this? I mean, we can't be angry. We got to be like, hey, listen, let me give you this example. Let me give you that example. But if they don't want to hear it, I don't know what we can do. I mean, that's as clear as day as we can make it. So yeah, pick up a brick on the sidewalk when you guys go out there tomorrow, see what happens. But just notice that they're there. How did they get there? What's going on?
Yeah. That's, you've got the whole Maidan phenomenon, the color revolution phenomenon. One of the primary, one theory, it's one that I suspect maybe 60-40 could be true. It's kind of the one that I've been operating as if, is that for some reason or another, that which is either represented or articulated by Trump, particularly with respect to foreign policy and acknowledgement of multipolarity, an attempt to settle some of the military adventures by other means is not is the sentiment of some part of the elite that sees the future past the current construct of empire anyway, and that there's some sort of a battle between those who want to continue on the current course and those who want to change, and just resting on the material reality that the current course is not sustainable, but for the general population. And so, if this is the case, if Trump actually represents some trend away from forever wars and particularly war with Russia and China in the near term, then you have to figure out what all this activity around driving him from office, the litigation, all of the different things back and forth between these two groups, if they're not bullshit and they actually really mean something, then what is it that they mean? And I'm bringing that up because I'm looking at a lot of this as an attempted Maidan style, although much different given the geography and other aspects of U.S. society. But some sort of an attempted coup, maybe a soft coup where maybe coincidentally Trump will have a stroke or something, and J.D. Vance will step in and calm everybody down. Imagine that. Whatever it is, that this activity in the streets is intended to create the environment whereby the attempt to change the course of our foreign policy can be put down and the war aggressively pursued. In fact, even considering the possibility of an assassination of Trump blamed on either Iran or Russia proper. And that the prospect of that frightens me because you would see, I think, a really dangerous realignment of American public opinion very quickly, where I think Democrats would be the most interesting to put on the couch and examine under those circumstances because, well, these evil Russians that you hate so much and that you were ready to nuke last Tuesday killed Satan. How do you feel about them now? And the other side, of course, would have to go back to their Cold War mindset about Russia because they killed their hero.
Yeah.
I think all of this shit leads to war, and I fear that even if they're not successful in a coup, in terms of taking control of the White House, that perhaps they've already been successful in a coup in terms of taking control of military and intelligence policy and activity, with the evidence being the attempt to take out those planes last week or whenever the fuck it was, and this attack on Iran yesterday and today.
Yeah, I mean, these are all very interesting theories, Don. We've heard well before the Israel attacking Iran, and even before the violence in the streets, the Psyop operations we're seeing here in LA, even before all that happened, there has certainly been the theory in the air that Trump's usage, his purpose was being I guess you could say, a form of a Pied Piper, bringing his people to the polls and getting him in there. As it wasn't really about getting him in, it was about getting in the technocrats, getting them in. And J.D. Vance certainly fits that role better than him. J.D. Vance couldn't rally shit in the street, but he serves the purpose behind closed doors. So you might as well get this loudmouth dude out of the way who says weird shit on Twitter and has to change his mind and pretend he didn't say it the next day. You might as well get him out of the way at some point. Why not now? Why not this weekend? Who knows? But the point is, it does lead to the same thing. It leads to the surveillance state Palantir and at least 2 more war escalation. There's no other way around it. But Don, that idea that we could sit down with Democrats, it might be too late, but they're going to definitely need some therapy sessions after this, because you're right. How do you continue your narrative about the Putin puppet narrative, or you don't really have any of that to go on anymore if the guy's out of the way, and you've brought in this new technocratic age and the super villain team, as we say, the Alex Karps and the Peter Thiels and JD Van. This is like super villain times 1,000, in the superhero.
I think the only therapy I think that'll work is Thorazine and ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, shock treatment, and drugs. I think that's the only thing that'll work, and maybe some surgery.
Yeah, and maybe give some what is the antidepressant, the newest one all the kids are doing. Give that to the MAGAs. They'll be a little better. They don't need all. They're not going to be as bad off, but they're going to need a little antidepressant medication.
I see the clock is like telling me I got to go bye.
Okay.
So
okay, Don DeBAR, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys.
Almost
love you, man.
Send me your diet. I want that, man.
No, you don't.
I don't.
It's a Candida diet. It's like Atkins on steroids. Can't even have sweet potatoes. Can't even have carrots. Yeah,
I hate carrots.
Well, it's pretty strict. I drink bone broth once a week. You know what I'm saying? A lot of salmon, a lot of sockeye salmon, wild salmon, grass.
Margo likes that though.
A lot of greens, a lot of spinach. Eat spinach every day, pretty much. Every day, spinach.
Sorry, man.
Every day.
All right. Peace, you
All
guys.
right.
Thanks a
Later,
lot.
guys.
You got it.
Later, Don. Sorry.
All right. How you holding up there?
I can take a quick break.
Yeah. I mean, our discussions are they're intense today. I don't see us breaking off too much onto other topics at this point, other than I know we have the. I know
Do you have footage that you want to show, or your own footage? Or?
I'd like to have kind of a final thoughts on the protest riot stuff.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we take a 5-minute break, come back, do the final thoughts on the protest?
We'll also want to do some talking back stuff. So I think maybe Jamie wants to help us with that. Do you want to do that? I mean, would you like? What order do you want to do stuff in? I'm just figuring this out. You had a free speech one, Mahmoud Khalil update. Do you want to do that, or is that?
I don't think that's necessary right now. I maybe just kind of put the news out there that a judge has said that they can't hold him. We'll see how that goes. That's just the beginning of that whole saga.
Okay.
Let's just take a 5-minute break. Let's do the protest stuff, and then we'll do the talking back, and then
you can cut out for that. Okay.
Cut out for that and get mom's dinner ready. All right, buddy.
Okay. Sounds good, guys. Hey, all right, guys, go grab a quick drink, bathroom break, and meet us back here. We got more Homeless Left for you coming right up in about 5 minutes. See you guys soon. Okay, we're coming back here. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the show, guys. If you've been watching us today, we have had some conversations, some important conversations. Don DeBAR, our guest correspondent today, and co-host Craig Pasta. We'll go ahead and bring Craig back in. Here we go. I'm going to grab, let me make sure. Actually, you know what? Let me get the assets up here. Here we go. Our little logo. Can't do it without the logo. And we can't do it without the right scroll on the bottom. There we go. Okay. If you're just joining us, yeah, guys, you can always go back and watch the replays of our lives. We keep them all up on our Rumble channel, every one of them. We've been doing this thing 2 years. They're all there. Everything. We stand behind all of our shows. We never take down tweets. We never undo stuff. All we do is we update analysis. Sometimes new information becomes available. We can always change our minds. We can always, apologize if we get something wrong, but we'll never, ever take anything down because we stand by journalism that we do with integrity. And it's okay if we disagree sometimes on certain things. But as you guys know, the world goes so fast these days. Sometimes we have to give our initial assessment and then we learn from there as more information becomes available. But it's an ongoing process, as you guys know, for us all. And we actually don't just not mind changing our mind on things. We embrace it because it means that we are evolved with more information and more ways we can inform ourselves and others about what's really going on in the world. Because guess what? You ain't getting it from mainstream. You ain't getting it from the shock and awe headlines and the things they tell you to think and feel before you go post it on your Facebook page. You're going to get it from places like us and others, not just us. We are aligned with other journalists that do the hard stuff. They go against the mainstream media narrative. They go against the state acceptable narrative, and we get punished for it. We get censored. We get blocked. We get demonetized. We get made examples of, and that's why we know we're onto something. Because when they want to make examples of us and tell us to shut up, we know we're onto something. So, with that said, let's go ahead bring back to the show with us today, co-host Craig Pasta Jardula. There you are.
How you doing, guys?
Good, man. Good. It's been a crazy one. We usually don't do the Friday show, so I'm feeling a little weird today about everything. But I guess it was for the best. StreamYard was out yesterday. It affected a lot of people. We were just about to go on, and we couldn't go on. And it got me thinking, Craig. Got me thinking. Well, look, this might be a glitch, an innocent glitch. It might be a third party cyber attack. We know that StreamYard was deflecting that blame and saying that it looked like it was a third party. We still don't really know what happened, but it did get me thinking, what if Palantir decides they just want to pull the plug and we can't go back? We can't log in. Our passwords don't work. What do you do? How do we solve that? What do we do in anticipation to this? I'm not sure if I have an answer to that. But we just have to obviously maneuver and make adjustments. But what if there are no more adjustments to make? I mean, I don't know. It got me really thinking, man, about this new era we're moving into here in this technocratic, dystopian age that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. I think the important thing is to also remember that, Palantir is just a front for the evil doers that want to control us, right? It's just like in the election things. They always look at some of these companies, Smartmatic and what's the one that everybody's going crazy about? I don't even know. ES&S is another one. And I forgot the other one, but everybody goes and points their fingers at the company. The companies are used by those in power. Yes, the company does have like crazy people running those companies because they're all in the same group, but it's just the mechanism. What are they really trying to do at the end of the day is the question we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
this is going on tomorrow. It's going to be crazy.
Tomorrow's going to be crazy. We're going to break it down for you guys. But this was sent to me by our other co-host Tuesdays, Jay Scott. And he said, this is a reminder that just as early as, I guess we're talking August 2024, the U.S. will very likely fight a 3-front war against Russia, China, and Iran. Palantir's Alex Karp is saying this, like getting into this warmongering. Like it's very likely, very, very likely that Palantir was essential technology needed for Israel to target Iran last night. It was part of the operation. very, very likely. We know Palantir was part of the COVID management across the nation. We know that. They had the information available instantaneously when a hospital wasn't up to their quota for the day of the jab. They had the data instantaneously, and they could send someone in and say, you're not getting to quota. Get more done or we pull your funding. That's what Palantir did 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. They've been useful in every sort of keep people in line, push the war narrative forward, and get everybody mad and angry at each other and living out of fear while the money gets transferred, the upward transfer of wealth keeps going, and the military occupation and Western imperialism machine continues. This is real stuff, and nobody's covering this on the mainstream. I'll tell you this, Craig, we were lucky. Okay, so had a chance to work a little bit with TRT out of Turkey, that we did some good coverage and got some information out to them. I was doing more of a behind the camera work for that crew out here during the LA protest, riots, uneasiness, whatever you guys want to call it. We saw it. We saw everything. We saw some peaceful. We saw some not. We tried to figure out what was the cause of it. And then, I had a chance to then I guess contacted by RT, as you guys know, international, that will air this story, and people want to know around the world. They want to know what's going on in Russia. They want to know what's going on here in LA. So I did get a chance to go on and discuss a little bit of, some of the bullet points I had. I didn't get to all the bullet points, Craig, as we know, these are very short segments. But let's see. I just want to play a little of that and let you guys know we are expanding. We're getting the message out there. And I know the next time I do this will be, I'm going to take more opportunity with those little moments. You get these little sound bites to get the information out. But I do think, I hope that the message at least has been received, that we're coming from a non-tribal point of view, and we're not representing Gavin Newsom or Donald Trump or any sort of element that we want to give a point to and knock a point off the other team. We are coming from the point of integrity, curiosity, and to figure out what the hell is going on. So here's a little piece of that from my appearance on RT 2 nights ago, reporting on the disaster here in LA that's been happening last week. Here we go.
Well, let's cross live now to Los Angeles and get a sense of what's happening and why with podcast host, producer, and director Matt Weinglass. Matt, we much appreciate your time today. We have the LA mayor, the California governor, accusing Mr. Trump of exaggerating the level of violence in the process, saying that they can handle security on their own. The American leader says this is long overdue. What's happening here, and who's right?
Yeah, so this feud between Gavin Newsom, our governor here in California, and with the president, this has actually been going on for several months, actually before he took office for the second term, because we had if you remember, we had the fires break out here in LA, where we're at right here. And, they were doing a back and forth on, can Gavin Newsom handle the state? What we see throughout these several months leading up to what has gone down in the streets this past 4 days is we've seen this kind of escalation. Feels like theater. It feels like kind of a WWE rounds for both sides to kind of get at each other's throats, when the ultimate goal is going to be the same thing. We're going to have the unrest, we're going to have the military presence, and we're going to have total chaos. This keeps both sides at each other's throats and not seeing the fuller picture of the state we're moving into, that I fully believe that the two of them are over-exaggerating to basically keep their base happy. And what Trump is doing, and this is not to excuse how tough he's been on this, but what he's doing is he's flexing his muscles, because he did run on this issues, and he's telling the American people, this is what I ran on, this is what I'm doing.
Which is almost like a revolutionary thing, isn't it? Actually following through on your promises.
Oh, absolutely. And now we know that not only has Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, our mayor, has now conceded and said, no, we have to set a curfew now. We do have a problem. So they're admitting we have a problem. I guess they're saying on one hand, well, Trump caused the problem by bringing the military in. But what we're seeing on the ground, because we're here to see it, this is chaos all around on all sides. And we're seeing instigation, not only by the police, we're seeing instigation by the protesters, but they don't seem to be aligned in what they're doing. We're seeing all sorts of different situations unfold, and it's really hard to determine where the cause of this is actually coming from.
Right. Is there a dangerous sense of deja vu going on here as well, Matt? Because, you know, we had local authorities, I remember, during Black Lives Matter protests, during other riots that we've seen in the country, defund the police, for instance, saying that we support you. And then all of a sudden, when chaos breaks out, there's really strict, staunch lockdowns going on here. It just seems that we're going back in time.
Yes, we are. And I want to be absolutely clear here. The theater part of this from the Democratic side, they're on the same side of the police. They want more police funding. So the way they do this, and this is, and you brought up Black Lives Matter, the way they do this is they say we need to stop the police presence. We need to get the back of the people. We need to protect the minorities, the communities. But at the end of the day, what do we end up having? We have the cities destroyed. And what do you need to do? You need to up the budgets of the police. And that's what we end up doing. Both parties have been doing it for years, upping police budgets. And we know that ICE itself, ICE has been upped the budget. Every single administration has upped the budget of ICE by about $500,000 every year. And that's been consistent. So it really doesn't matter who's in office at the time. The money is going to the military, the money's going to the police. And yet the people think that there's this battle going on between red and blue, when the reality is we end up at the same conclusion no matter who is in charge.
What's your view of how the mainstream media has been reporting this? Because I'm getting a sense really that they're backing the local officials, saying that the response from the police is disproportionate. Just your view on that and what the response has been from law enforcement too, Matt.
Well, I think that the media here has definitely got it wrong, and they have to tread lightly when they show up. And we've seen this with our own eyes. When they show up and the national news gets here, the local news, it doesn't matter. They have to be very careful because they know they're targets too by a lot of the vandalism. We've seen their vans be vandalized. They're going around. They don't have their logos. You usually see the logos of the news station. They don't have it. They're very careful. And when they report on this, they wait till they're back in the studio to talk about how scary it is out there. But like as far as the police response, that part is very interesting.
Do they call it scary, Matt? Because I've heard a lot of them saying largely peaceful protests again.
Well, here's the thing. You have the debate of whether or not the intention is peaceful, but then you can't ignore the fact that you're seeing a lot of these violent activities unfold. And the reason that's happening is because there are provocateurs doing this from the crowd. We've seen it for ourselves. So they have to report on that. But you're right. They have definitely started the premises going into this is that it's a good cause, which it is. And I have to be very clear here. The sentiment in LA is very fearful right now. We're seeing people ripped out of their homes. We're seeing the Latino community. This is a Latino area. The majority people here are Latino, and they're affected by this. And so when they see when you're taking to the streets for this, you're understanding that they are standing up for a good cause. The problem is it gets out of hand in the streets because there's people doing things that was not the original intention.
Understood. Matt, we really appreciate you staying up to talk to us today. Good to see you as well. Podcast host, producer and director Matt Weinglass, live from Los Angeles.
Weinglass. Good job, buddy.
I think, Bart was confused. There were two Matts for a second. Not to be confused with my twin brother, Jeremy, actually. But thank you, Molly. Yeah, Molly Littlebird. Very good. Now, so look, I'll say before I pass to you on your thoughts, I've self-analyzed this, and I know there were 3 points that I tapped on, I brushed over, but didn't go in for the kill. One would be making that comparison to Black Lives Matter. I should have brought up January 6th. Very important because I wanted to get the other audience understanding. And we talk about that on the show. And I wasn't able to fully connect the dots that it's not just left movements that are captured. It's right too. So both should be able to understand that. very important comparison. I did get the budget wrong on the ICE. It's actually $500 million a year. Each single president has upped it $500 million every year for sure. Ultimately, this is not about immigration after all. And I should have put in the point that it was backed down on. And it's not because Trump was pressured to. It was because it was never about the immigration. It was about getting people in the streets, causing havoc, wreaking havoc in LA, which they did. And I did make that point. I'm glad I got that in, that was actual havoc by ICE that was wreaked here in the city, which got people off into the streets to begin with. But the final point, and I think I was just a little too nervous to like go into Palantir, but I wanted to say ultimately this is about the surveillance state. I did mention the provocateurs. He didn't seem interested in going further on that, but at least that got said and out in the open. So I think I did the best with the time I had. But I'll let you respond. But
what was your overall what's your overall message that you were trying to get out there? I mean, obviously, maybe you could have got it a little bit better in certain spots you're saying to me, but what was your overall message about what you were trying to convey on that show right there?
I wanted to plant seeds because I know that conversations that aren't happening on these large scales, we're not talking about the surveillance state. We're not talking about the bait and switch on immigration to fool people into a movement that matters, that's going to be captured. I wanted to talk about on the ground that we've seen, and I think I did do this. There are provocateurs. There are people that are positioned there to wreak havoc and to up the violent element. And then ultimately, I wanted to say this is about Palantir. And by the way, one more point. I know you would like this, and Danny Shaw, friend of the show, would also like this. It would have been awesome to punch at the very end. The reason we have the immigration problem in the beginning is American imperialism, which is another thing they never, ever talk about. So I don't know how to do all that at once, but I think just planting seeds, people can at least start to think for themselves and go, maybe I'm not getting the full story when I turn on CNN.
It's tough, too, because the questions they're asking sometimes don't let you drive the bus to get directly where you want to get. Well, let's see if I have similar messaging in mind real quick. Mine's only like a minute and change. I did my interview first, and then they just played a piece of it later on. Take a look. Give me a share, and I'll put it on up.
Here we go.
Where is it at, Craig?
Oh, here we go.
Ready? Let me know. You ready?
Okay. Yeah. Adding to stage. Here we go.
Let's see if this works.
Craig Pasta Jardula is the co-host of the Truth Wire news outlet, and he says that the riots underscore how divided the U.S. is and are reminiscent of the color revolutions that Washington is alleged to have been orchestrating in other countries.
Wow.
This is so divisive. This is very, very divisive over here. It's almost as if Donald Trump is playing into the divisiveness. And that's why he mentioned the Civil War, because these are the areas in which they really enrage the people and get them to go to one corner or the other. And these things are meant to divide the country and actually kind of form a color revolution. And as we know, the United States has been pushing color revolutions all around the world. Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Whatever the empire does abroad, eventually the chickens will come home to roost and they'll do it on their own people. And that's what this seems like this is all about, because it's distracting from all the other crazy news out there. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia? Why hasn't it ended? Why has Palantir not been tasked to look at our data and collect it? What's going on with so many other situations in Israel and Gaza? Nobody's paying attention to that right now. All eyes are over here. So this seems like the best distraction the state can get right now, and they're going to use it to their benefit.
Divide and distract, right? That's what it is to me. Divide and distract.
Man,
you kind of what I wanted to get there. So they asked me 4 questions and they took a chunk out of 1.5 of them. So I was happy with it. It's a good little piece. It's fun.
That's great, man. Those are the points right there. And if anybody's just in their camps and they're not, there's people that are not going to get out of their camps, period. There's nothing we can do. But if there's people that's questioning right now, and you hit bullet points like that, it might be enough to make them look into a couple of those things, or at least one of those things, because they're all important. And you just listen to them. And it's like, these are the things that were not being said on mainstream, because they're supposed to protect those thoughts and they're supposed to dumb down. That's their job, right? They dumb down the bullet points to one thing, right? So the one thing about tomorrow, this King's Day, no King's Day thing. The one thing is this. It's the symbol they came up with. Let me grab that again. The symbol is Trump with a king hat and an X through it. It's as simple as you can get, and that's all they need. There's nothing else going on. Nothing else to see here with imperialism. Nothing else to see here with Palantir. Nothing else to see here with Israel first and World War III imminent. Nothing else to see here with anything else except this one guy uniquely wants to be king, and we need to stop him and get everything back to normal, where the oligarchs like Walmart heiress, who's funding this, can get back to business as usual, and Bernie doing fake rallies against the oligarchy.
Ignore the fact that your Democrats, past presidents, deported more people than Donald Trump. Ignore the facts that every single Democrat is for all those budgets, and they don't care how much money ICE and the military get. Ignore the fact that the Democrats, the ones who are funding this and pushing this, are part of the empire abroad that couped Manuel Zelaya in Honduras and removed Gaddafi in Libya. Ignore the fact and just concentrate on Donald Trump as the authoritarian. We got to take him out. Co-option. Distract and divide.
And
all the other news going on, what
Yeah.
Donald Trump is doing over here while you're looking over there.
Yeah, and look, this is this part's important because, like, again, I'm here, like, this is our friends and family. This is my personal family here. We're affected by the targeting of ICE that happened, that up these deportations, taking people out of their elementary schools and graduations. I mean, this happened, but that was to get the people in the street to create this chaos. But we have to look at the numbers. This is where I got, and again, I accidentally said million instead of billion, but this is, I mean, this is the funding. It's consistent. It doesn't matter who's in office. You just go up another $500 million every single year. That's how it goes. It's not rocket science when you say, well, then what is Trump up to? What is he up to? He's trying to get rid of everyone? No, he's not trying to get rid of everyone, because that's going to upset. It's why, and we showed that clip earlier, right? That he's saying on record, we gotta protect our farmers and our hospitality.
We gotta let them exploit the cheap labor.
Yeah, but again, and this isn't about moral compass, or this is about, I have a certain point I'm allowed to go, and then I'm told to stop. That's the instruction from the top down. And believe me, if you guys don't know, there's a top above Trump. He's not the top. He's not the king with the crown that we have to take the crown off of. It's the people above that are telling him, this is where you stop the deportations. This is where no more invading, graduations in elementary schools. We did enough. Now we have all the things we need for what we call, a major national Psyop coming tomorrow, or even as far as DON DeBAR has suggested this earlier today, even as far as a false flag operation this weekend, which it might be all leading to. I don't know if you had a thought on that, but these are the conversations that they don't want to have.
Yeah, but Don, he's still looking at the term of the fact that, like, Donald Trump's an outsider and they're trying to now move on him and get rid of him. And it's like, no, dude, they're all working together. Come on. This is all about distract and divide and get the people pit against each other. And that's what he's doing. He's doing his job. I mean, already this protest from the leftist perspective has been co-opted. Its real message is going to be drowned out. There will be less unity on the left, and is already divided as can be. So it's Operation All Thumbs Go for both sides.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is gonna go down this week? I mean, we have two things. I mean, we have to look internationally. We have to look at the Iran and Israel and what's happening there in real time, because that's going on every hour. There's an update, and then what's happening nationally on the street in every major city tomorrow on June 14th. What's your prediction of what's going down the next, I don't know, 24
There's going to be some chaos, and we just don't know how level. Just enough to get the people distracted while other things go down, or do they want to use this as something else? Is this a jumping off point? We have to pay attention to everything that's going on. We have to pay attention early to his birthday party, his parade, military style, whatever, and tank day, flag day, whatever it is, and we have to see how it starts over there, if there's any protest over there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, we just got to keep our eyes on everything how it unfolds. The main thing is that we just call it out in real time as it's unfolding, try to get the message out there, what's really important, try to highlight the importance of what people are doing. There is a lot of important messages that need to be told. You know what I'm saying? Everything from states' rights, right? The Republicans are supposed to be all about states' rights. So why did Donald Trump send, in ICE into California when it's clearly a blue state? You don't live there, you don't care what happens, and it's a community that overwhelmingly stands up for the immigrant community. Why would you go do that? And then why would you send the guard to help with police forcing it? That hasn't been done in a long time. There are certain things that need to be talked about. That's why it's kind of, to me, why I don't think that there's no coup against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the one who went ahead and started all the actions to put this in motion.
Yeah.
Now, whether he was manipulated to back him into a situation like that, okay, fine. But no, I mean, no way.
Well, here's what he's saying in advance.
Administration of all times.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's a part of it, guys.
He's part of it. But here's his little warning.
There's no resurrecting him. There's no saving him. There is no chess move. No, it's done completely.
Well, here's his message to all the protesters ready to go out in droves tomorrow on his birthday. Here's what he's got to say to you, to us. Here it is.
If there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but this is people that
just mentioning protests, but I haven't heard about it.
They will be met with very heavy force.
I mean, they want this. This is the rhetoric they want because people get behind this. They keep pushing it.
Yeah.
We can throw out the First Amendment because Israel says so. We can throw out the Fourth Amendment because it's an immigrant. We can throw out the Fifth Amendment because it's an immigrant. We can be more authoritarian. Let's keep pushing the boundaries. Let's see what we can do because the people are obviously cheering it on. And one side's cheering against the radical left. The other side's cheering against the Trump. I mean, it's just divide and conquer 101.
Yeah. Well, I think that we should. Yeah, exactly. Molly Little Bird. Divide and conquer is the oldest manipulation, and the Uniparty uses it well. Thanks, Molly, for that one. This is why we do the show, guys. This is why we have to warn you guys in advance. This is happening, and we have to stop simplifying messages. Again, it's a good cause, but it's been captured. This cause has been captured. This is a design by the Walmart heiress that put billions of dollars into this campaign. So just know that. I'm not saying don't go out in the streets. I understand you want to go protest. You're right. By the way, you have a right to protest. That's absolutely true. And when you have Florida police chiefs telling you you're in advance, they're going to murder you if you spit in their face, or worse, if someone next to you spits in a cop's face, they're gonna fire in your direction. You might get hurt and you might get killed just because you were standing next to somebody who chugged a lethal loogie in the face of an officer. And you know how delicate and fragile officers are these days, Craig. They go home traumatized by spit. So you're going to get unloaded on. So even with all that, and knowing that this is being funded by a billionaire class, we're not saying here on the Homeless Left that you shouldn't go out and protest. Just know that what you're walking into is a captured movement. So be loud, but be aware and be careful. I know everyone says be safe, but just be smart. Not just about your physical safety, but be smart about what's really happening when you see those bricks that were laid out in advance, or when you see these people that don't look like they fit the mold and they come out of the shadows and they're fully in black and they have all these weapons and they throw them in smoke bombs and then are gone. Just be very effing careful, because what we saw in LA was freaking horrible. And if it's not the blueprint, which it is, it's the blueprint for the rest of the country and what the response is going to be throughout, I would say tomorrow for sure, and probably throughout the weekend. But we'll see. And we're going to be back here next Tuesday, guys, and we'll have some commentary for you on what happened. But we hope everybody's safe, and just stay smart, stay safe, and just try to understand what's really going on that you're not being told on mainstream outlets. So,
amen, brother.
All right. Well, we can call it today. Unless there's anything last minute thing you want to say, or
no, I'm tired. I had enough. Thank you so much for holding it down, for bringing it back on a Friday after we missed yesterday. It was kind of, a lot of people had the same problem. Judge Napolitano had his guy pull it together, but they had a lot of problems. We're gonna have to figure out for the future. We're gonna figure out other platforms, other ways to get our shows engineered, because that stuff can be turned off in a flick of a matter like that. So,
do you think that was a deliberate third-party cyber attack that happened? It's hard to tell.
Doesn't matter. If the ruling class knows they can do it at any time, they'll do it at any time. So
they'll do it at any time. Yeah. What does it matter? What does it matter? Yeah. All right. As our friend Bernie would say. Thank you, Craig Pasa Jardula. for all of your amazing contribution and helping to elevate the show to a place that we try to keep integrity and courage and, boots on the ground, as you say, the best we can. So we'll keep going and keep charging ahead. We'll see you next time. Be
Definitely,
good, man.
Matt. Take it easy.
Okay. You got it. All right, guys. Before we go, we're going to get to you. Yes. It's time to get to you guys. And we saw some crazy comments. We're going to get to, we're not getting to all of them. You guys know that, right? But luckily today, we don't have Leslie, but we do have our, I don't want to say backup to Leslie, but it's cool, guys. We do this as a team. We do this as a community. So we switch off. You guys know, we switch off our co-hosts, switch off. We have a lot of people that are part of this cause. So, but you guys know him. It's Jamie Cheese-Ice. He's going to help us out today with talking back. So let's go ahead and play him in on the intro. Actually, that's a good word. Alternate. He's the alternate talking back host today. So we'll be doing this together for you guys. Get your comments ready if you haven't. If you say something that sticks out, we'll get it in there. This is not a first come, first serve basis. There's Cheese-Ice is the bomb. Thank you, Leslie. You see that? We're all aligned, guys. We're all aligned. Leslie's rooting you on there, Cheese-Ice. So you better be ready. Nah, he's ready. He's ready. And you guys, this isn't a first come, first serve on the comments. It's a best comment wins. Nah, it's just whatever. It's whatever we're talking about. We'll figure it out. We'll get you guys. We'll try to engage with as many of you guys as possible. Okay, here we go. It's time for talking back with Jamie. I got to throw on the thing. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, this is you guys will like this one. Talking back with Jamie. Here we go. Here he is, talking back with Jamie Cheese-Slice.
Hey, how are you doing? How do I sound?
You sound great.
Okay, good.
Your picture. Good. Oh, there we go. It was a little.
It's not picking me up in this shirt for some reason. I keep disappearing.
Hey, there's a setting for what is it? There's a level for background setting for intensity. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, it works on the green screen, but I don't have my green screen.
That's why. Why.
I mean, I'll have my green. I'm finally going home tomorrow, so I will have my green screen again next week. I miss it. I miss it because it cuts my hair out. Like you can't see my hair.
Yeah. Oh. All right.
Well, anyhow, we should get started. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today, and I know we don't want to go over 3 hours for sure.
No, we got to get to it here. Okay. Right. So yeah, we've had a conversation with Don DeBAR, Craig Pasta Jardula, been covering the No King's Day that's coming up tomorrow, this weekend, and all the levels there. They include the protests and riots and crazy shit we've seen here in LA over the last week. Plus we have, of course, Israel attacking Iran last night and the fallback from that and how everybody's maneuvering around that. So a lot of great conversations there. And I think a lot of people have a lot of debates. I hope mostly friendly debates within our viewers here, but let's get to some of that. So I'll pass it to you, Jamie. And then, do you need me to put it up on the screen? Or
No, I got it. Here we go. Let's just go going. So, Zootzilla has a lot to start the show off over on YouTube. And he said, Trump is 100% aware. And I bet he started the attack on Iran. Yep. I definitely believe he was 100% aware. There's no way he didn't know Israel was going to go ahead and do this. I can't believe that. I can't get him a pass on that one. And he could have stopped it. He could have said, no, we're not giving you weapons, but they let it happen or authorized it. I don't know which one of those two is true. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah. He had to pretend he didn't know about it. He always does. He always does this. He did the same with the protests. I don't know about it, and then he does. So he doesn't know about it, and then he does. He always does. That's his little game, his little switch around. So he did that with this. He did that with the attack. I don't know about it. All of a sudden, we wake up this morning, and all of the talking points aligned. Of course, he knew about it. He's 100% in. So that's it. And he's like, we support. He uses the word obviously. We support Israel, and they did a really good, the greatest attack, the best attack ever. So there we are. Of course.
And there are other reports out there that's saying that all of this talk about negotiations was just a ploy to lull Iran into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
So they think, oh, we're going to have negotiations tomorrow, so they could hit them now when they weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible, and it's really scummy, and that's not going to do the United States any favors in the world, in the eyes of the rest of the world.
Right.
We can't be trusted. All right, moving on. Zuzilla also says, I'm 50-50 on Greta. We know the outcome before it started, but it's more that what our government is doing is what's more important. I believe that's what is implying there. And he also said, no way Israel would have killed her. I agree with that. With Greta, I'm kind of on the fence about that too. Like, Pasta says you can't trust her at all. Well, I mean, you also got to remember she's like only 22 years old. She's very young.
I think she's 27 now.
No, she's not that old. She's not even 25 yet.
No,
but
let's find that out.
I think she's like 22 or 23. But anyway, she's still very young, and she's been used by a lot of people, and she's been hanging around with a lot of the wrong people. So I think some of what she's doing is just out of naive. She's just naive, and I do think she's a good do-gooder, but she doesn't know how to go about doing it all. And she's been trusting a lot of the wrong people. But I also think the reason all those people in that flotilla or on this ship that was trying to deliver supplies, I think the reason they're alive today is because she was there. If she wasn't there, I don't think they would have had any problems eliminating all those people.
Well, let me be clear. I still disagree with Pasta on what we think of Greta, because I'm more with you, Jamie. I don't think, oh, you can't trust her. She's a whore. I don't say that. I'm just saying that he was right, that it's a captured movement, whether she likes it or not, whether she's trying hard or not. I still think she's a good person. I think she's a good person.
I think
that she's been used her entire life. She's been used.
She's not a leader. She's not the kind of leader that we need.
Yeah.
And that's what you can't trust. You can't trust her leadership because she doesn't know how to lead.
Than trusting somebody's integrity.
Right.
Right.
So
we have to make that distinction. So I should make it. And, I didn't make that distinction. That's my fault. I didn't make that distinction earlier. I certainly didn't make that distinction when I went on Hardlands Media with Kit and his audience, man. They let me have it. They did not on Rumble, but on the YouTube. Isn't it weird? We do have different audiences. I noticed that too on our different audience on YouTube and Rumble. But on YouTube, they let me have it on Kit's show because they were like, how could you do this? How can you say this about her? That she's trying to help people. I know she's trying, but
I think so too.
But the problem is when you come back from that captive moment and you double down and say, look how bad they treated us. That to me, that's a slap in the face to anyone who gets really kidnapped and captured and doesn't have a camera on and doesn't have a sandwich and gets raped and tortured and humiliated and traumatized, and starved. That's not, she should have done I would have been more on the 50-50 side on this still and said Pasta didn't win. I would still be 50-50 on it. And if she said very strongly that I was manipulated on this thing, and you're trying to pretend that this is how you treat people that you capture, and it's not. We got the easy treatment. I can't even imagine to begin to believe how you treat other people that aren't me, that don't have my pull.
Yeah.
So that's
really
BS. And the other thing that she needed to say was, how dare you go tell your Israel media and Western media that I refuse to see, because that's what they said. Greta was sat down and shown footage from October 7th, and she refused to see it. How dare you say that about me? She should have said, you don't have the footage, and you manipulated that too, you sons of bitches. So she says the genocide is happening. She says Israel's committed war crimes. That's great. That's awesome. That doesn't get new people interested. That only is playing to people that already know those things.
Yeah.
Therefore, Craig is right. This is not something that is going to have a good ending to it, because the people that are allowing it to happen don't want that ending. They want to keep.
She lacks the experience.
That's the point.
She lacks experience to understand that doing what you said is what she needs to do.
Yeah.
And the kind of leadership she's learned is from people who captured her movement.
What about the Hannibal Directive? She's not stupid. She knows that the Hannibal Directive happened. Tell us that. Say that's these piece of shit liars are saying that I wouldn't see footage when you are the ones that murdered everyone that day. The majority of people that died, we know this. They admitted it.
But to know to do that, you've got to practice it. You got to be prepared for it. And she's not around people that are going to prepare her to do that.
Okay.
And like, so she's not trustworthy as a leader because I don't think she has the right skills to be the leader that we need in a situation like this. But I do trust her intentions. I do think she is a do-gooder.
Yeah.
I think she wants to make a difference, but she doesn't have the right tools in her toolkit to do it. Yeah. And it's not her fault. It's just, she's been around the wrong people.
And again, what happened is, what's the end result? We still have people divided. More people hate her than now. They think she's anti-Semitic more than ever because she refused to see footage of Israeli babies getting their heads chopped off and put in ovens, which doesn't exist. And so it's only made people more divisive. And the most important thing that did not happen is the Palestinians didn't get the effing aid. So there's that.
Yeah.
So nothing. Yeah. So we didn't move forward with this. Therefore, one can conclude that whoever's allowing this to happen allowed it to go to a certain place and then stop. And that's it. Right. Nothing has been gained.
Yeah. So if anyone believes what the government promises to the people, you're a fool. Well, it's kind of where we're at now, at least with our government. I don't think all government is bad, but we have a bad government. So I think it's possible to have a good government. We just don't have one.
Also, there's other people that have bad governments that know their government's bad. The American people have no clue that their government's bad.
That's the big problem.
Freest, the coolest, the baddest, the most awesome
at the end of the Soviet Union,
the world. They have no clue.
The Soviet people, they knew they were being propagandized all the time.
They know.
Americans still trust our media and that they're getting the truth.
Yeah.
We don't know that we're one of the most propagandized countries in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think we're the most. I think we're the second most. Yeah. But
I posted that RT on my Facebook. I had people comment, Putin propaganda. That's RT. I'm like, you guys, see, they're mad. They're mad at me for trying to tell the story.
Yeah.
About LA. I'm the guy not getting a paycheck from Pfizer. I'm the guy not getting a paycheck from the military industrial complex. But you would rather watch Rachel Maddow. Like Rachel Maddow. No,
I got into it with someone on Discord because of the airplane story, and I said they posted it from BBC, and I just said, "Hey, I'm not saying that I don't trust that the story happened, but you should verify all the details with an independent source because you can't trust corporate media." Yeah. And they were just flipping out, like, "Oh, well, you can't trust." I'm like, I don't trust BBC, CNN, NBC, and none of them because they've lied to us about everything. I mean, they could lie to us about any part of that story too.
Yeah.
And if there is truth to be told, they're not going to tell it to us.
Yeah.
So, okay. The last one from Zootzilla here was, this was the statement about, I think it was the ambassador to Israel said, God says that land belongs to modern Israel.
It was Huckabee. Yeah.
Huckabee. That's right. I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah.
And he says, God is a real estate agent now. WTF. So I thought that was funny.
And Craig did that with the Foster Reddit with the Southern dialect. It was awesome. Just like, we're doing the right thing. It started like
so you already showed that one. I missed part of the beginning of the show because I was working somewhere else. So
that was Huckabee. Yeah. No, I said I would help it. Yeah. That's
okay. All right, here we go. United Front. This is Jokers for You. So Jokers for You, and I kind of got into it in the comments a little bit during the show.
Okay, that's
fine.
I'm
going to share some of the stuff he said. A United Front under leadership of the people is the only strategy that will work for a revolution in the U.S. I actually agree with this statement.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
united we stand, divided we fall. And like this idea of individualism that we pushed on the American people is the ultimate form of divide and conquer. You can't divide the people any more than by making us all be individuals.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going. I actually agree with this statement as very well. But he says, you guys are literally going out of your way to discourage people. And I don't think you guys are doing that. I might be doing it a little bit more than you are, but I'll explain why in a little bit because there's some more comments here. But I don't think that's what we're doing at all. We're warning people that what this protest is really about. It's not a real or a grassroots protest. There is real grassroots revolutionary protest energy out there, but it's being completely misdirected into things that ultimately don't matter. Like the biggest thing, this No Kings thing is really about Orange Man bad. And we know that that's not really a political goal. I mean, yes, he's bad. What are we going to do about it? He's not going away. He's going away in 3 years.
Do I have to say this again? I think I got to say this again. I'm not telling people not to go out in the streets. I'm saying go out with your brain, go out with your awareness and your critical thinking skills. And guess what? You can actually make a difference. I'll give you an example. I'll say this. Here's how you can make a difference. If a news crew comes up to you with a camera in your face, they say, "Why are you here? What's going on?" Do your thing, guys. We're giving you you're giving you the tools you need. If you get and that happens all the time. Happened to Leslie, one of these protests. You turn your head and you got a camera in your face. What's going on? Tell us. Microphone. So I'm saying, go out there with your brains on your heads, because a lot of people out there do not have that.
But they don't want the people who have brains talking to the cameras. They're not going to show you on TV if it's a lie. You're here because you're anti-war. You think the government's doing things wrong. We got to stop Palantir. You're not going to make it on TV.
Jamie, there's a lot. I'm not saying ABC national news. I'm not saying CNN's going to. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Anderson Cooper's going to put a mic in your face. That's not going to happen. What I am saying is there are independent news media out there, and they have live feeds going. I'm telling you, I'm out there. I'm telling you, a lot of live feeds where they don't have time to edit and they want answers now. And they've flown in from all over. I hear all sorts of dialects, all sorts of different people are out here. They've been in LA. Now they're going to be in other places. They're going to be in Texas. They're going to be in DC. They're going to be in my certainly some shit's going to go down in Florida, Chicago, San Francisco, wherever you end up. There's going to be and this is just one idea, James. I'm just saying, one way you can be effective.
Exactly. This is the kind of stuff we need to be talking about. Yeah, I agree, because I don't really know what the answer is, and I'm gonna. I don't want to show. Let me show this one, and then I'll get to the next one. It makes my point. This is from Leslie. The protest from us, the people, is real, and I'm going with my cooler on my wheels to give people food and water. So yes, go out there and help the people, because the people are real. There is real energy for protest. People are very upset. I just think it's being misdirected into something that will be ineffective, but ineffective for helping the people, but helpful for the government for furthering their goals.
Bring a sign that says we're against totalitarianism. We're against the technocratic age that we're headed in. Say we don't want your billionaire money, Waltons. Like, say that. Like, do something that says that something bigger about. We don't need you. We don't want you. We're grassroots, and we want to stay that way. Don't capture us. That would be a great sign to go out with. You know?
Here's Leslie following up with that. I'm not sure what's worse, staying home and not joining these corporate organized protests, or protesting for our own cause, knowing that we're being manipulated. Now, this is where I might have a little bit of a disagreement with you. See, my gut's telling me the strategic move is when you have an opponent. I don't want to give them what they want. They want me to move into that space. I'm going to do everything I can to not move into that space. And I feel like they want us out there protesting.
No, they don't. That's not. No, they want the violence in the streets. They want the chaos.
And if we don't give that to them, they're going to make it look like we're giving that to them.
That's fine. That's why you be loud with your voice, and you be loud with your signs. You be loud with your clothing, and you say the things that I'm saying right now. Say we say F Palantir. Put that on your t-shirt. F Palantir.
Yeah.
F technocracy. F the people around Trump, not just Trump. Trump's not the only king. Say play with the language, and say F you Walton family for funding this thing. You took the grassroots from us. F you. Those are messages that are part. So be loud about that.
But these people have the monopoly on violence, and I'm actually very legitimately worried that this is like another January 6th setup, and a lot of people who are out there are going to end up having to go through the same thing that the January 6ers did.
I think in DC,
or worse, people will get killed.
DC might be the worst place you can be as far as danger tomorrow. Will be DC. That's my guess, because that's where you have.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people there that are just going for the parade. So,
but there's going to be organized protests that are coming from all sides of the organized. I say organized. I mean different factions organized.
Yeah, the only protest I would go to is an anti-war protest, which is what I think these protests really should be about.
They really should be. You should be saying this. You want to challenge ICE? You want to challenge immigration policy? Then say, let's stand up against imperialism. That's really, you want to solve it?
I think so.
You want to solve it?
Because simply making it about ICE and immigration is incredibly divisive, and you got half the country that's a support of the police state on this.
What did we call today's show?
Consent.
Do you know what we call today's show, Jamie? I didn't even say it in the opening. We did the little opening bit and it says it on the screen and I never came back to it. It's actually been going on the bottom of the screen the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
We call this show No Imperialists Day. Because
that's great. I missed that. I missed the beginning of the show. So that's a great idea.
On this sign, it should say No Imperialists Mass Protest.
Yeah,
and it should be Trump with a crown. It should be all of them with a crown. With Netanyahu on that effing sign too.
These people are trying to make this all about anti-Trump, which keeps half of the population out of the protest because they're pro-Trump.
Yeah.
Can I share, since you're bringing this up, I want to share this. I'll try to be quick about it. You're going to have to take that down first.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. There we go. So this is the actual website for No Kings. And I'm going to try to paraphrase what Garland Nixon has done on his show. He went a deep dive investigating, trying to figure out who is running No Kings. Who is it? Right? That he can't figure out who's actually in charge. So he would go over here to the partners section. And
I love what he knows how to do it.
He knows how to do this.
How to do it.
And he starts showing us.
Yep.
Yeah, you were on the show when he was showing you this too, but he went even further on another show with Jeremy today.
We were doing it on Fight the Oligarchy. Who was funding Fight the Oligarchy with Bernie and AOC? This is exactly what you want to do. Go to the website.
Yeah. And he was showing you can't click on any of these icons. They don't actually have links. They're just the logos of all of their supporters. But a lot of these things are NGOs, the same exact kind of NGOs that USAID would hire to implement their color revolutions in foreign countries overseas to do the same kind of stuff. And when you try to find out who these people are, you have to actually go and just pick one, Fix Democracy First. You're going to have to search it on your own on Google, and then you're going to find the same exact kind of website there. And then he's just trying to dig down to figure out who owns these different things. He can't find them. The identity of the owners are hidden, and the identities of the owners of this No Kings website is also hidden. So what does that tell you?
This is some shady.
If this was great, if this was grassroots, these people.
This is some shady. Oh my God.
These people would be open and honest and telling us exactly who they are because they're part of the people. They're not for the people or by the people. The other thing he loves to point out is like the whole blue and yellow Ukraine stuff. And he says, look, come to the bottom of the website. What do you see here? This is the Ukraine flag.
There you go. The Ukraine colors.
Yellow wheat fields.
Spreading democracy, everyone. We're spreading democracy.
This is the same people that have been pushing the same propaganda on us for the last 3 or 4 years and are trying to take this revolutionary energy for stopping things that need to be stopped and just steering it into we hate Trump.
Hey, can I address this Jokers for You thing? Because I appreciate you showing a little of it, and we don't have to go. I know it got pretty intense. I kind of put my eye over it. I was like, pretty bad there.
Go for it. Yeah, because I actually do feel bad. I wasn't trying to get anything personal with him. But we definitely had a disagreement.
But this is not about discouraging. So you put a little bit of the first part before it got crazy. But Jokers, look, we come from the same place. We want people to feel empowered. We're giving you tools to feel like you can be empowered, but you have to be able to look for those red flags. We've learned how to do this. We didn't know this. We didn't just automatically know how to do this. We fell for Bernie. We fell for these things. So now we know how to spot the red flags. And Garland, his approach to investigation, that's brilliant. It doesn't even take, it takes 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes. Jamie just showed you.
Maybe about 5 minutes.
You're still watching.
He did all the legwork. It probably took him like 20, 30 minutes. But I'm able to summarize it in 2 minutes.
You're able to summarize. But it's like, look, so it'll take you guys a half hour to do this, right? Rather than sharing shock and awe tweets or memes on your social, like take a look at where the money's coming from and understand that this is what you're walking into. And again, we're not trying to discourage you. We're trying to empower you. We're giving you tools.
Warning you. It's a warning. Like, this is what you're walking into.
We're not saying stay inside. I'm not. Maybe you are. I'm not saying stay inside.
I don't know if that's the best strategy, but that's the strategic approach I would take. I don't want to give my opponent what they want.
Okay, but we're showing.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not the right move.
It's not wrong. It's just an approach. I say it's like voting, right? We've had this discussion so many times. What is the right? You stand up against a two-party system. You stay home to do that. Show up and be a third-party person. Write someone in. But whatever fits your thing. But don't fall for the divide. This thing that is going to, like you mentioned, January 6th. We could be very careful. This could be a psyop ready to happen, a false flag event ready to happen. Palantir is certainly involved. There's certainly, you know, you're in a database. We're all in a database.
They're going to be testing all of their software out there on you tomorrow if you're out there.
They are.
And then they're going to collect all the data on you and make sure you're going to be the first people put into the database.
Yeah. But know how organizing is supposed to work, and this isn't how organizing works. It's not top down; it's bottom up.
This is not real organizing. This is it is organizing from the state. This is not organizing from the grassroots.
Right, and and then you have to know what the demands are, and do you agree with the demands? That's also another thing. So understand the demands of that the Waltons are putting out, the billionaire class is putting out. And their demands is to stop the tyranny of Trump. That's the demand. It's not saying anything. And I love that you brought up the NATO colors, because it's NATO. NATO is the reason we have an immigration problem. They create the refugees around the planet. They create the migrant situation. They create a situation where people have no choice but to flee and to come here. So if you have NATO supporting your cause, which Bernie and AOC did with the Fight the Oligarchy, same thing. Yay to NATO, yay to NATO. Then you're on the wrong side of the thing that you think you're fighting for. So just know that. Again, I'm not saying to stay home, but just take that information. And jokers, if you're still watching, we're not discouraging. We're trying to empower.
I think that this protest is being put on by the same people who did the no hands protest. Remember the hands off front protest. Remember, hands off NATO, right? These are the same people who did that are doing this one tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they're taking real revolutionary protest energy and misdirecting it. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to get the population to blow off some steam so it doesn't blow up even worse. This is a controlled burn.
Yeah.
All right. Now this is Airwaves. It says hijacking the protest to fight the duopoly would be worth doing, but just joining an anti-Trump or anti-DNC corporate protest is a wasted energy. And I think we've been saying that. I fully agree with that statement. Mm-hmm. This also kind of illustrates the point. Yes, with the Walmart oligarch woman, it is a bit suspect. So, I mean, she might have been the one behind the website, because Walmart's colors are also blue and yellow.
I asked some people out in the streets about what they thought of that, and they didn't seem to care. In fact,
I'll take that one down.
I'm gonna play. I gotta play this. I didn't get to play this earlier. I gotta play this.
National Guard here, where we have Marines here. It's completely unnecessary. It's a complete waste of money. I'm completely anti-ICE, but we were handling this as a city, as a community. These people don't need to be here. It enrages me that I am looking at my military, my National Guard, and if you look around, nothing is happening. People are standing here peacefully.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward, but just so you know, the context is these guys show up after all the chaos had already happened, after all the infiltration, all the psyops, and they're saying, this is BS. Why is the military here? Everything's peaceful. And I'm sitting here going, you guys missed the whole, we were knocked all over the place. We were shot at. Like, it's insane. But like the people in the crowd were, you know the story, Jeremy, they were throwing the shit at it was back and forth. It was a total like battlefield. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was insane. So I'm going to fast forward. When I asked, I let these guys talk for a little bit, and then I bring up the Walmart thing. So let's hear how they respond, because this is important. This is how an innocent couple that's out there, innocent white couples out here protesting in good nature, good spirits, has a real purpose, but has no idea how organizing works, let alone how they feel about the Waltons controlling this. To look at.
Fund everything.
Wait, hold on, Mike.
I don't support the action. I don't support anything that's happened since. It's ridiculous.
Does it concern you to find out that there's the billionaire class itself, including Soros, including Rockefeller, including the Walmart family, these billionaires are funding this entire national thing? Does that concern you at all? Does that make a difference as far as the moral and principle thing that has to happen, or is that might be an additional problem to look at?
Fund everything. Billionaires run our government.
The No Kings movement is run by billionaires. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's being funded by the Walmart family. It's being funded by the Walmart family and the Rockefellers.
That
and
strikes me as a huge double standard. That strikes me as a distraction. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Again,
You broke their brain.
How many people in the cabinet right now are billionaires? Why does it matter if this No Kings movement is being backed by someone like George Soros? Why does that matter? People are upset.
Well, some would say that real grassroots movement comes from the ground up, and once you get like kind of top down stuff, it has potential to be captured, and you don't want a movement to be captured if somebody else starts calling the shots on how it operates.
Well,
that's a concern some people have.
Well, I mean, I think again, we've just said that we're not really educated on the No Kings movement at all, so I don't think we can speak on it. We've showed up as grassroots members of this community. We showed up because we're upset with what's happening in our community. No one told us to be here.
So they are being defensive, thinking you're asking the right wing question.
Yeah.
Right.
Say,
really are you a protest? It seemed like they were sensing that you're trying to dig out. Are you a paid protester? We don't believe they're paid. I don't think there are very many paid protesters out there.
These people don't know. They don't know how organizing works. They don't care that billionaires are funding a protest. They just feel because of their feelings that's enough. When I asked him earlier, I skipped this part. When I asked him about, do you know what the demands are of the protest? He goes, we don't care about the demands. So that to me just, and that's an innocent. They don't know. They don't know that showing up with a sign isn't what protesting is about. It's about organizing. They don't understand what organizing is. Organizing is about bottom-up movements. That's the one thing Dr. Shiva knows very well, even though he's very rude to us when he comes on the show. But he's very right. Bottom-up, grassroots. They're not funded by billionaire class.
Right.
And you have to know what your demands are. Like the Palestine protest, those are very well organized. We know they know how to behave together.
We knew who was organizing them too.
Yeah. It's very hard to do this. You guys, this isn't easy to not take billionaire money, to tell Bernie Nailsy to go get the F out of here. And by the way, they only show up after when you're doing something that is making a difference. Then they show up. They go, oh, it's time to capture this. You go, no, we were fine without you. Get the F away. We got this. That's how you got to be. But they don't know that. And I'm not ragging on these guys like them personally. I'm just saying this is the type of innocent, good-natured, good-intentioned people. You crack their brains when you ask them, does this matter? Do you care about demands? No, I don't care. That's not really important. I feel something. I'm here because I feel something. And that's how you're a perfect target to be manipulated and taken advantage of.
You're vulnerable when you're emotional.
You've got to show up with your mind too and your understanding, not just feelings. That's our big message to you guys today.
And that's one of the things I was trying to warn people about with the India airplane crash. It's like I when I heard that happened and knowing what's going on geopolitically, knowing what's going on with these protests, instead of just saying, oh, that's a horrible accident, my mind's now going to, okay, why did this happen? Was this intentional? Was this or was this just an accident? And honestly, you don't know. From watching the footage, you can't tell. But now you've got the one survivor and they say that they heard an explosion or something like 30 seconds before the crash. So, okay, something went wrong. Was it a bomb or was it just Boeing's cutting corners causing this crash to happen? We don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. And I know we won't get the truth from the mainstream media. But was this intentionally supposed to happen now to distract from all these other big things that are going on right now? Like because we've been talking about this attack on Iran for a week. Like everybody's been expecting it to come. We're just not knowing, is it really going to happen or is this just chatter? And everybody's been talking about it. And then it finally happens right after that airplane crashes. So now I'm even more suspect about that crash. Was it legitimate or was it not? Because also remember, India has issues with Pakistan. So could have been Pakistan doing some sabotage there. Who else was on the plane? We don't know who was on the plane. Was there somebody important on there that the establishment needed to kill? So many questions around it. And when you see a tragedy like that, it makes you emotional. And when you're emotional, you're vulnerable and susceptible to manipulation. And I think those people are kind of illustrating it in a different sense because they've seen some of these events that are traumatizing where ICE is just going in and just ripping people out of their homes. I mean, they say it was with cause, but maybe it's a cause we don't agree to. And now you got people who are emotional. They want to get out there and do something, but they don't know how to do it. They're just going out in the streets. And that's how you end up getting people who really are well-intentioned, supporting causes that are just captured. And like Molly Littlebird says here, good causes are taken over by the establishment. That energy is real, and it just gets subverted and directed into something that is ultimately not going to end up in real change. Yeah. And I tried to make this point to people during Black Lives Matter too. It's like, you've got all these demands, but all you're getting done is you're getting a lot of statues taken down and some streets renamed, and maybe some sports teams renamed. But you didn't get any legislation to stops police brutality, which was the number one demand. But everybody goes out there and they feel like they accomplished something, but it was just steered into something meaningless.
Yeah.
And the other point I want to make is those protests in 2020 were way bigger than the ones that are happening right now. But the news is trying to convince people that these are way more significant than what happened in 2020.
Well, hold on. We're not there yet. We're not.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet.
We don't know what's going to happen this week yet. This has been the buildup, and it's been pretty. I mean, I don't want look. I showed you guys that interview just now, and what the most frustrating part for me wasn't that they were triggered by my question, wasn't that they didn't know stuff. What was most frustrating for me was that the scene that they arrived to that day. I believe this was Tuesday or Monday. I'm now mixing up the days. Might have been Wednesday. It was Wednesday. So Wednesday, they show up. They weren't there Sunday, Monday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We were there Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And it was calm. There was nothing going. So the guy at the beginning goes, you see, look around you. We're all peaceful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this thing was total chaos just 2 days earlier. So I think that there's a part that's missing when you don't show up and see it for yourself. And like, I'm not trying to like, hey, we were there. Hey guys, I'm saying that when you go and see something for yourself, it's really hard to turn on the TV and have everybody telling you 5 different things that aren't true. And they're all contradicting each other. We were there to see it. And it was insane. And it was tough. And it takes time to figure out what happened.
It really does. You can't, I mean, we kind of have a good grasp on it because we've been looking at this stuff and studying it for years.
Yeah.
It's not easy to absorb overnight. And, when you're first exposed to it, it's something you really want to reject because it kind of contradicts everything you've known. Yeah. But they did this too in DC after January 6th. Yeah. January 6th, it was like about a 3-4 hour protest. And then they brought in the National Guard and locked down the city for weeks. Yeah, National Guard was there. For weeks when there's no threat of anything happening. And they knew there was going to be a big crowd of angry people there on January 6th. Everybody in the city knew it was coming. And so everybody's like, oh, you want to stay away from there. You don't want to be near these protests because all the MAGA people are coming. And it's not like it was a surprise, but they didn't have the National Guard there when it would have made a difference. They brought it. They were sure happy to bring them in for weeks after the fact when there was no more threat. Threat was gone. Yeah.
Well,
and that's how they were kind of doing that this week over there in LA.
So the Psyop works a little differently depending on the target group. So with the gun loving Second Amendment Trumpers, they know you don't send a bunch of cops and intimidate, and they're not going to be. It's not going to make sense. They're going to attack cops. They love cops. Mm-hmm. What you do is you set up a situation where you can take selfies with police, right? You remember all the selfies? Hey, come here, cop. And so they did. They opened the doors of the Capitol. They let them in. They got tours. They all did a little.
The media lied about it.
You do all of it. You do the prayer. They did a prayer circle for crying out. You guys know that they went into the main Congress. Mm-hmm. They all stood around and they did a prayer circle and they were crying and they were having this emotional moment and taking selfies. And before you know it, everything went chaos. Why? Because the provocateurs made sure of that. And they broke windows in other areas so they can get that on camera. Look at everyone breaking in when they were already let in the other side, but the news only was. So you guys know that. So what I'm saying is you target the Psyop operation is done differently. It's personalized. So you can get a left movement a lot differently. All you got to do is set up a battle, a war in the street against the police. So one side's doing selfies, the other one's doing they stick these people in the mix and they start throwing these bottle rockets and this smoke at them and these you're getting firing back and forth, and then you're saying, look at these people, they're domestic terrorists, or they're foreign terrorists not allowed to be here terrorists, but either way you paint them as terrorists, as we saw January 6th, we're domestic terrorists and then you take away due process. So
the
same shit.
Protesting is now a terrorist act in this country.
Yeah,
we're supposed to have the right to do it. I mean, in fact, the forefathers told us, like, you need to do this. You need to shake up the government every once in a while. You need to keep them scared of you.
Yeah.
But I think those days are over. They're locking that down. All right. Let's keep going on. So I said, you could oh wait, actually I think Leslie said this first. So that would be grand if all kinds of people would show up to also protest the military industrial complex.
Yeah,
that's what we, like you were saying, you go with the signs, what we really need to be here for protesting. And I agree. I think if we could flip the script and turn the No Kings Psyop into a real anti-war movement, that would be something.
There you go.
But they wouldn't expect that. Like people coming out there say, forget Donald Trump. We want no more war. This is about a bigger thing than just Donald Trump. Then that would take control of these protests away from the No Kings people, and it wouldn't be what they want.
Yeah, and that's you have to connect it. It's not changing subjects. It's connecting it, saying you want to fix immigration, stop American imperialism. You want to fix this so you connect the issues and you go deeper. That's how. There's a way to get people smart enough to, and I think they are. I think people are smart enough. They're just, their minds are captured, so we have to uncapture them, and then this will make sense.
Well,
but
to a lot of people, this is really just about immigration.
Yeah,
but it's so much bigger than this. It's about our foreign policy. Yeah. It's about surveillance. It's so much more.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I've got a couple more. One more. Yeah, okay. I got one more thing here. Okay. This Molly Littlebird. This was after the protest discussions. So if the U.S. would cut off all funding and stop supplying weapons to Israel, sorry, let me start over. If the U.S. would cut off all funding and stop supplying weapons, Israel would have to stop. The U.S. is complicit in this. Yes, absolutely. And all of it. Like Israel can't do what they're doing without our backing. Yep. We give them $3 billion a year, and look at what they do with it besides give themselves health care when we don't have it. All right. And then the last, this is funny. Leslie says, wait, you're a twin? I thought I was just explaining the same thing to you all over again to the same person.
Yeah, no,
I misread that. I thought I was explaining the same thing all over again to the same person.
I'm sorry for confusing you there, Leslie. But no, this whole time there's been.
Now she knows.
Now she knows. She found out. I know it's a hard way to find out. It's like live on the show, but I had to come clean at some point. But there we go. There we go. Yeah, they were.
I missed that show. I think I was probably working that morning.
It's okay. They were. And if you guys want to see how Matt, actually, I don't know if you can. No, I don't think you can still see the live comments. Well, you can on YouTube, but Kid always makes it like unlisted.
Yeah, so he takes it down. So
you can watch the segment. It's the Greta Thunberg segment I did with him 2 days ago. But I don't think. Yeah, he doesn't. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sorry I missed that. I might have been able to calm them down if I had been in the chat.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, but I'm there often in Hardlands Media. Hardlands Media is a very fun chat. A lot of people telling a lot of jokes, get a little spicy in there sometimes. I highly recommend it if you want to laugh a little bit in the morning. And he does. That's why I really like his show. And he does this segment called The Morning Dump, where he just shows like little cutesy little videos and does some react content. I'm like, Kit, you need to take that segment and put that on TikTok, and it would just be huge. It'd be great advertising for your show, and just that segment would be perfect, and you'd get millions of views just doing that, just on TikTok alone.
It's great. It's a great segment. I should get him to be inspired to do a little jingle. Do you know we do the jingle?
Yeah, he needs that. He needs that.
Little morning dump.
He's like, hell, it's time for the morning dump.
Yeah,
something like that.
There you go. Like a little. That would be funny. Yeah. I'll talk to him. Maybe we can put something together for him.
Yeah. I mean, AI music's getting so good. He could probably do it himself.
Yeah, that's true.
It's sad but true. It's
there goes art. There goes
art. You know, all of the artists were screwed, but
we're all
But I mean, I think the way forward is to learn how to use those tools and be the one doing it, because there's not going to be many people. They're not going to need many people doing it, but somebody's going to.
Yeah,
it's really unfortunate. We're using AI to do art. The one thing we don't need AI to do. There's everybody, like most people, want to do art. We don't need machines doing art.
No,
it's insane.
A lot of artists are embracing the part about saving time, especially these social media influencers, right? There's people that they think I could save so much time if I just have AI just do the thing it was gonna take me triple the time to do anyways, and they could just do it quicker. And they know me, they know my methodology, they know there's an algorithm, right? So
I think there's a difference between there's a difference between using AI as a tool, like like any kind of tool you get that is supposed to help you save time. So there's a difference between doing that and then just completely replacing artists. So like one thing I've noticed though with AI doing a lot of these videos, AI is not very good at video editor. So it's good at making things you might want to put into a video, but you still need a human in there to edit it right now. Maybe one day it'll figure it out, but it hasn't gotten to that point yet. But it does allow a lot of people who can't draw to now draw things that they can use to represent it. And I think it depends on what kind of work you're doing. Like when you're making thumbnails, like throwaway stuff, I'm not really against AI, but when it's like the content, that's when I get up against AI. I feel like you really need a real human doing that. But the cat's out of the bag. It's not going back in. We're doomed. AI's here.
We are doomed.
Get ready for the Matrix. Get ready for Terminator 2. That's our future.
Just pass out the blue pills already. I'm ready to go back to sleep.
Hey, the problem is once you're out of the Matrix, you can't go back in.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Now
you know the truth. You're not going to fit.
Yeah.
You're defective. You're not going to be a good battery source for the machines.
Exactly.
All right.
I think that'll do it here for talking back. Thanks, Jamie, for running it today.
Thank you for having me, and it was a pleasure. We'll do this again.
Cool. Awesome. See you.
Bye, Leslie.
She says bye. All right. And I think oh god, I hate it when I press that one. That's always a bad one. Okay. This is the box I wanted. Okay, here we go. We're gonna end the show. I'm gonna play one more clip just because I really wanted. I was trying to find an opening for this. Oh, there she is. Thanks, Jamie, from Leslie. I was trying to find an opening for this with Don and Pasta earlier, but there was a moment where it was so close, and then I was like, nah, we missed the window. If you guys didn't see this, I'm just gonna throw this up real quick. This is not even worth a segment, so I'm not even gonna cut this for the segments. This is just so you guys, if you missed this, this is an oopsie by the mainstream, playing footage of Palestinians being run down and murdered. Although it's not graphic, but they are running for their lives, and we do know that at least 14 people got murdered in this exact scene. They're playing it while they're mistakenly not reporting on that. They're reporting on Russia attacking Ukraine. I kid you not. This happened on mainstream media. It shows you how backwards and hypocritical we are with our war machine efforts and the things they choose to get us angry about. Check this out real quick.
Kharkiv, Ukraine says the city has been seeing its worst attack since the war with Russia began. At least 40 explosions rattled the city on Saturday morning, which left at least 2 people dead and more than a dozen wounded. Rescue workers have been searching for more victims. This latest attack, it comes a day after Russia launched a separate barrage that targeted cities across Ukraine. Moscow had threatened to retaliate for Ukraine's recent attack on nuclear-capable planes deep inside of Russia.
And of course, our friends over at RT noticed that and put that out there. That is insane. Getting the Western media telling us Putin's out of control with his attack on innocent Ukraine, and we have to keep funding that war. Meanwhile, the people running are running from bullets that we funded in Palestine. And those people were starving enough to show up to get food, and they were fired on. And most of them got out, but there were about 14 deaths at least, probably more, but we saw those early reports. So that's the footage you just saw. And that was in Rafah, the most southern point tip of southern Gaza. And we funded that. Meanwhile, they're trying to scare us into Putin is trying to take over the world. So we better act now, act fast to save democracy. Okay, that ought to do it for today's show. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We generally don't do Friday shows, as you know, but this, circumstances, we did it. We had to do it. We're going out in the street tomorrow. We'll be in LA covering the National No Kings Day protest. So we will be there, and we'll report back to you guys on Tuesday. If some crazy stuff goes on in the interim, maybe we'll come on and do a quick live with you. I don't know. It really depends, and it really depends on Iran, Israel, and the next move on that front. So a lot of things moving quickly, but we appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in with us at the Homeless Left, and we continue to get the message out about non-tribal approach to news, non-tribal approach to conversations. Take what we're giving you. We're just trying to give you guys tools to utilize in your own lives. We know you have busy lives, you have your jobs, you have your commitments and priorities, but we're trying to give you guys tools that you can utilize in those conversations that might actually make a difference, changing one mind at a time or whatever you want to call it. But that's what we're all trying to do. It's our form of protest, whether you're out in the street or having conversations. We should always be in an active mode of protesting. That'll be the theme for today. As we're calling this episode, we called this episode the eve before No King's Day March. We called it No Imperialist Day Special or whatever. No Imperialist Day. That's what it should be called. No Imperialist Day. Anyways, thanks for everything, guys. Take care. We'll see you back here Tuesday. Thanks to Craig Pasta Jardula and Don DeBAR and Jamie Cheese Slice and Leslie in the chat. Thank you for running that and helping us with that. I guess we'll say she was our moderator today, our mod. We call them mods. We're looking to recruit new mods, actually. So reach out if you guys if you're interested, if you guys are regulars and you're interested in helping us moderating some of the episodes, reach out. You can reach out to me on Twitter, actually directly to my Matt Weinglass at Twitter. I'll just throw that up here real quick. That first one there. Reach out to me, DM me if you guys are interested in helping us with doing a mod job for us. Just, team effort, team thing. Appreciate it. Sorry, we don't have a budget for it just yet, but as we get bigger, we might actually have a budget for it. So if you're able to do it, you're watching the show anyways, let us know. Team players, welcome. And you can always support us over at the locals, homelessleft.locals.com/support. Goes right to our support page. One time or monthly would be great. Any little bit helps us continue what we're doing. And of course, that's because Rumble and Twitter haven't pulled the plug on us. Thank you, Elon. Thank you, JD Vance, Peter Thiel. Thank you for not pulling the plug on us. Little shadow banning going on, but you haven't pulled the plug like YouTube. YouTube pulled the plug. That's why we had to start a new channel on YouTube, because the Homeless Left has been terminated on YouTube. THL Presents. You can find it. We actually just hit 3,000 followers on there, which is insane because we just started the channel. So there's actually a need for what we're doing. A few of our videos blew up. We're at 90,000 something for our Gal Gadot protest video. Go check it out. It's on our homepage right now. Sign up for that. Be part of the movement. THL Presents. It's still Homeless Left. They don't know. I don't know how they don't know. It's very weird because we just qualified for monetization. I don't know how that happened. I assume they're going to take it away from us any day, but we're going to do it as long as we can. And if they take it away, we'll just think of a new name, because guess what? Like Michael Scott says in the Office, we'll never run out of new names. We got a ton of them. We got an unlimited supply. So bring it on, YouTube. Bring it on, Google. Bring it on, censorship industrial complex and the powers that be and the Zionists that run the planet. And both parties keep captured and people put against each other. Bring it on. We the people will fight back. Nonviolent resistance. Power to the people. Remember, when you go out there into the world, always go out with courage, conviction, and above all else, principle. I'm Matt Weinglass. I'll see you guys next time on The Homeless Left on Tuesday, Thursday. Take care. We'll throw up a few comments on the end. We're going to leave you with one more Anna Kasparian moment. She's been good on Palestine, very good on Israel. Good for her for being right on this issue. Other stuff, not so much. This one she's got. Always nice to see her yell about Palestine, free Palestine on Piers Morgan. Check it out, and we'll see you guys next time.
This out, okay? You want to talk about how Greta Thunberg got involved in some sort of, political theater, whatever. I don't care what anyone thinks about Greta Thunberg. I see that as a distraction. What it's distracting from is the fact that IDF soldiers are intentionally shooting at and killing desperate Palestinians as they're trying to get humanitarian aid from this Israeli-backed organization, which, of course, is able to even exist because they defamed UNRWA. They starved Palestinians for months. Shut up. They've starved Palestinians for months. And then, as the Palestinians are desperate for food, they lure them in with this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and shoot at them. Upward of 200 people since late May have been shot at and killed by Israeli soldiers. Do not forget that. That's the heart of this story.
All
and
right.
let's not forget about the 232
do not forget that
journalists
lying.
in Gaza
That's not
that
true.
have been
Hamas
slaughtered
has been
by the
shooting them.
IDF.
The Gaza Humanitarian
You're
Foundation
You're
even confirmed it was
You people
Hamas.
disgust me.
They confirmed
There's
it was
no
Hamas.
humanity
And the
with
only
people
thing
like you,
disgusting
Emily.
here is
No
the person
humanity.
who is intentionally
None.
lying and
None.
blaming the
Shut up.
IDF.
I can't
when
even
the
handle
IDF
your
is
voice.
the one
It
who is
disgusts
assuring
me.
that there's
Disgusts
humanitarian
me.
aid.
I'm an Armenian.
There are
I know
11
genocide when
million
I
meals
see it.
that have been
You
distributed
are a
already.
defender
11
of genocide.
million
You
by
are a
the
genocider
Gaza
and a defender of
Humanitarian
genocide.
Foundation.
You're disgusting.
I know you don't like facts,
Disgusting.
Anna, but this is the reality.
Disgusting.